frozen over like I am.
Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Playoff season. We are back for some Overwatch here on NECC. It is Jobin and Ray, and playoffs, there are only good games to be had the rest of the month. Everyone's trying to qualify for lands in a bunch of different divisions. Teams are trying to buckle up to win championships, collect rings at the end of the semester. It has been a very, very fun time, and Overwatch has been a blast to cast recently with a lot of upsets shaking up the scene, but we'll see if Champlain and Ithaca can deliver a show in our first slot.
Yeah, diving into our Division 4, kind of alluded to me earlier, these teams have played each other in recent history, with Champlain getting that victory in a pretty decisive fashion. The big question is, what has Ithaca learned from that defeat, and can they take the lessons from that and come in with a new game plan, a new strategy, and come take the big upset win and keep working their way through the bracket?
Yeah, I was looking through the previous match history and the schedules, and Champlain has been the boogeyman of Division 4. They're currently undefeated, and most of their losses, or most of their wins rather, it was either 3-0, and they dropped a couple maps here and there, but I don't even think any team took them to a map 5 the entire semester. So rematch aside, they've been virtually flawless the entire semester. Good thing about the playoffs is all you got to do is play good for an hour and a half, 2 hours if you are Ithaca, and you can make up for all that stuff earlier on.
Yeah, as it makes playoffs that much exciting. Any given day is the old adage. And that's the best part, is when you come into these brackets and there's like the big bad team of every bracket, and you have that chance to come in and just put people on notice and be like, wow, we're the favorites now, get the huge upset. So I can't wait to see where this is, how this is going to unfold. And if from the at least side of Champlain, are you going to be able to step up to the plate and prove why you're the big dog in these East playoffs, and why, you've been such a favorite?
And it always gets interesting. Are you talking about the big dog sometimes bleeding a little bit? If Champlain were to come out, say things don't go well, map 1, I don't think they've been trailing the entire semester. So sometimes that can mess with your brain when you go, it's the playoffs, it's the most important game of our year, and all of a sudden, nothing is working. We don't really know what we're trying to get done as a team. Things are kind of falling apart. So that adversity, it can either make or break you. But as I said, they have been skating very cleanly the entire semester, so I suspect we're going to get some similar level of gameplay today, but we can show you the rosters there. And Ithaca, I mean, listen, nothing is sweeter than getting revenge, especially to kick a higher seed out of the playoffs.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more. That's like the highlight of the season. You get this victory. I mean, obviously, you still have to bring it home and try and win the whole thing. But just even if you end up losing in the championship or whatever, you're like, we took out the number 1 seed. We took out the favorites, highlight of the season. So hopefully these squads are able to do that. And I believe with Champlain being the highest seed, I believe they get the first map pick. So very curious to see where they go there and where these hero bands come.
I suspect it will be Lijiang, just because that's the only map 1 that I've seemingly done for the last month. Of course, there could always be a few other options thrown in there, but especially a team that has been playing that well, I said, okay, Ilios, that also fair, kind of falls into the same category. Should be very, very fun. The meta hasn't been evolving too much as of the last couple weeks. Of course, we have the new heroes come in. It's a D.Va Zarya meta for the most part at tank. Vendetta is still doing very, very well in certain spots. The Emery has skyrocketed in popularity after a few small patches. So there is a lot of stuff on the table to be played. And obviously, once we get to see the bands, once the teams kind of figure things out, we can maybe see where their heads are at a little bit.
Yeah, this is where things get extremely exciting, because Ilios, it's a very dive-centric mech, and I was going to say it's Diva's playground, but Champlain have said, no, 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 no Diva for you today. And Diva's just kind of been a demon in the ranks not even recently. It's been for quite some time now. And Emery going down. Emery's another one of those warlords right now who's just been on a tear in lobbies. So taking two of the most staple heroes in team comps out for Ilios, I'm really curious to see how both of these teams are going to adapt. I do think with Emery being gone, I think it's almost paramount that you play Sojourn, maybe an Ash here or there on like Lighthouse, maybe Ruins, but I think Sojourn's going to be the way to go. The question is, where do you go to replace the Diva? Do you go to classic Winston? Because, you know, Winston's not been great, but one of the reasons Winston's not great is because Diva exists. So there's a possibility of going that direction. I think Hazard's always still a sneaky pick on a map like Ilios. Or will a team just commit to the brawl and just go for it on Ilios? Just these bans make this map that much more interesting.
Yeah, and when you talk about the current Overwatch meta, like these two bans sort of epitomize the entire thing you mentioned. Diva is in Thanos tier on her own right now. I don't even think there's a discussion about who's in second place. It doesn't even matter who's got the silver medal. That tank is running entire lobbies left, right, and center. So we could see this definitely does open up the Winston. I think the Hazard a little more of a niche pick, and only in the essence that I don't think too many players have just mastered the pick yet. It's not a 7 or 8 year old hero, obviously, so they're still a little bit getting figured out, at least in certain aspects, especially with heroes constantly getting added and the meta evolving as it does. But no more mystery. We're going to find out in 5 seconds with Ithaca and Champlain. Champlain, of course, undefeated on the season. They already took down Ithaca Blue 3-0 in every single map. I think it was a 2-0 control and a 3-0 flashpoint or a hybrid. So they took care of business and then some, but it is going to be the Winston for both sides. And yeah, we've got full mirror mode to get us going.
Not a huge shock, especially on a map like Lighthouse, where being able to take control of the high grounds is of the utmost importance. So Winston coming in, especially with no Diva, makes a lot of sense. The Kiri Lucio, which is the standard support comps we've seen from both the teams, and I assume both are going to go Tracer after the sim. Yeah, so we're going to get full-on mirror matches, which makes things a lot more interesting. It's going to be able to highlight like who's really popping off and who's making big critical mistakes and who's making big plays.
Yeah, the reason I love that people can mirror mode in Overwatch and it's not like other games, because now we just get to see who is better at executing in the given day, and that's going to be the Sojourn from Ithaca, drawing first blood, winning the 1v1 against Princess Eden. We do see the instant trade onto the Tracer. That is a good kill by Misty Pyro. Looks like Champlain, they're going to go occupy the point. They will be able to get the early capture, hope to build up these ult charges as fast as possible, and they're going to catch Ank out of town. So the Winston will be forced to reset. Ithaca will have to join them, and Champlain, a nice little cushion to get him going.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that positioning by Ank. You used your shield and your leap just to go try and contest point when your team was not there. You were bound to get blown up by Champlain in those positions. So you're going to have to be very careful with how you go about using these jumps, because you need your team with you if you're Winston, or things like that are just going to continue to happen.
Yeah, you got to make sure this Kiri Lucy are in the backpack and they are ready to keep you alive at a moment's notice. As Champlain doing a very good job to just hold Ithaca on the high ground right now, essentially saying you can stay up there as long as you want. We're going to farm the ult charge through the window, and we'll be A-okay to rack up as much percentage as we can. As the Tracers, little Tom and Jerry chase down with Knee already having the pulse bomb at 95%. And now Onk getting chased down by Zools. That is a big Suzu to keep the Winston alive, but that means the cooldown is no longer there. Kiriko luckily able to get away to safety, and Onk is still getting chunked down very low, but they are able to shut down the opposing Tracer. So Ithaca finding that kill, I would really love to see if they can take some space here.
It was me going down. You do get the returning pick onto Binacle Jam, and the question is, can you find some more picks to try and flip this point? Because Champlain still has complete control of this point, but they're just going to continue to snowball.
Yeah, they weren't able to. Ithaca's health bars were just far too low even after they found the kill. I think there was 3 players under 50%, so it wasn't really the best fight to take. It, of course, was the real only window of opportunity. And for Champlain, I mean, everybody in the game has not used an ultimate yet, and we're quartering on 80-85%. So this next fight is going to go down, and they're going to find the pulse bomb onto the front line. Onk is not going to be there for this fight. So Ithaca, realistically, after that stagger on the DPS, they're going to have to send it as fast as they can, and they've got to slam these ultis quick.
Yeah, Knee going absolutely insane on the Tracer, getting the stick on the Winston, knowing they probably do not have that Primal Rage yet, and they're going to sacrifice it in order to go touch the point as Wrecking Ball and K. Down goes a Barty.
Yeah, and we saw Stevie's on Ithaca Blue. The Lucio got shut down in the previous fight, but they were able to respawn and make it back to use a sound barrier. Unfortunately for Ithaca, I fear it is not going to be enough. That is a full team wipe on the point. Champlain holding it down, and they're going to take round 1 on Ilios.
And again, it was just expertly played by Champlain. I think that really came down to was they just were comfortable in their skins and knew exactly where to position these Winston compositions, had their Curie and Lucio in always good spots, always had Princess Eden in really good positions on high grounds to just have full angles to hit those rails. I think that was like the quiet warlord of the map. Like Nee was in the kill feed, but it felt like Princess Eden was just throwing down so much damage, as you can see, lobby damage leader right now.
Yeah, I mean, that was an excellent team performance out of Champlain. We talked about them, of course, being the favorites coming in, being that heavy hitter that they've been, and they absolutely showed it in spades there. You mentioned the hazard might get brought out. Zulz will agree with the theory. Always, especially on a point like this where there's a lot of terrain to climb, obviously the pick can be very, very good. And I mean, a good hazard player can certainly not be underestimated, even though it's not the most popular pick in the meta. We are going to see Ankh opting to stay on the Hammond, another fairly common pick for this area, but Ithaca, Dusk is actually the one able to find the kill. I thought it was going to be the Tracer, but the Kiri getting their hands dirty. And that means Champlain finding that early pick will more than likely be given over a capture. Actually.
So I will say, with Ithaca's composition and committing to the Wrecking Ball, the Wrecking Ball is not going to be with the backline and with left on this Sojourn very much at all. And Hazard is one of those tanks who thrives on punishing backlines and going after squishies. So from the side of Zulz, they're just going to be able to have a field day against this composition, and they're not going to really have much peel. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind if you're Ithaca is your supports and your Sojourn have to play relatively safe while you and your Tracer are trying to make coordinated dives.
Yeah, it's just really hard for Ithaca. It seems like every time they maybe get something going, the kills either get exchanged or they end up dropping first blood to one of these DPS. And they are going to try to fight their way back onto the point. Ankh already chunked down to about half HP as the Tracer looking to work the wings. But again, the battle supports the Kiri-Lucy combo, linking up to shut down Abateri. And that means Champlain, yet again, just going to force out a few more staggers. Ithaca Blue with the player disadvantage means this is not really a fair fight. Nee is going to send it onto the backline to try to shred the Lucio. The Hazard Wall will be able to zone off the backline. And Champlain Varsity, they are running through Ithaca right now.
Yeah, looking extremely impressive. Has a pulse bomb online as Ithaca still not even close to a bunch of these ultimates. And again, it's the problem with the Wrecking Ball. If you're not finding good rolls and good slams and finding quick picks, your team is going to crumble.
And when the opposing Tracer is, I think, 4 for 4 on pulse bomb kills, that's a very tough way to live life, especially in a playoff matchup when the margins are so thin for error. Zulz does have the ulti ready to go. Ankh unfortunately rolls right into the railgun from Princess Eden. Zulz is able to find another shutdown onto the Kiriko, and Ithaca Blue is left scrambling back to the spawn. They will have one more decent attempt at this. They've got a couple ultimates to make something happen, but with the Hazard ultimate, that is one of the best ultimates in the game playing into a team late pushing because they just get locked down.
Yeah, if you saw in that fight, they got a good wall on and Ankh was not able to get out of that fight, so they're just able to clean up. But generally speaking, they're just ignoring him and going after the rest of the team.
Oh, Overclock beats Pulse Bomb in the dangerous game of rock, paper, scissors. The Sojourn wins that one with Eden. Pyro's able to shut down Bionicle with the right click, and it looks like Ithaca Blue will be falling for the last time in this map. They were able to get the back capture, but this is more of a delayed result than anything. Champlain Varsity may be losing a team fight this entire map, but other than that, that was all aces.
Yeah, again, very impressive effort coming out from the side of Champlain. Again, they knew the win con against this Wrecking Ball was our backline needs to outlast this ball Tracer, while our Hazard and Tracer counter dive their backline and just go to town, and that they did. So that's been the most impressive thing about Champlain so far, is them knowing the comps they're playing and how and when to achieve those win conditions.
Yeah, and you could tell even if there was some familiarity, of course, the teams did play. I think it was early in March, so a couple patches ago, but still relatively the same game we were playing. The meta has relatively been the same, and Champlain, you mentioned it, especially as the losing team, when you play a mirror mode comp into another team that you've already lost to, and they kind of just hand it to you again, you got to not necessarily throw your hands in the air, but you're like, man, it's happening again. We're running into the same issues. We know this is probably objectively the best thing that we can run, and we just don't really have an answer. They weren't able to shut down the Winston. Onk got caught out a couple times out of position. And then, I mean, the Tracer just pulse bomb, pulse bomb, pulse bomb, shutting down somebody every single fight. And Champlain looking like that 7-0 team that they were. And Diva now off the table. That was Champlain that banned away the Diva. I mean, it let Zools just go completely off the hook on the Winston. They played a very good Hazard as well. So I'm expecting more big things out of this tank player, seeing what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I am very curious to see with Emery and Diva coming. I mean, technically, the other teams could just do the bans again. I saw that in a series recently where they flipped bans, so the same two heroes were banned on the first two maps. Yeah, the Diva is the one that I'm going to be very particularly interested with. Because to me, with the Sojourn and the Emery, it's almost kind of, even at the high level, sometimes it's just flavor of choice. Like just whichever one you feel more comfortable on or better on, they're both very good. The Diva coming back makes things interesting. Obviously, the likeliness of playing Winston going forward just tanks down because Diva just hard stomps the monkey, unfortunately. So the question is for the side of Ithaca, are they banning Diva just because they can't play Diva that well? Or they knew that if they could force a Winston matchup that they were just going to be superior, but they could still play the Diva. So questions to be answered for map number 2.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing now is, of course, you ban away the Emery. That is maybe I mean, it is one of the best DPS in the game right now, certainly rising in popularity after a few buffs, but you could theoretically even try to go for a respect ban on the Tracer against Nye. I think they genuinely had enough impact to at least maybe consider these things, but then if you do that, the Vendetta is on the table still. There's still so many other picks that, especially a team that looks as good as Champlain does, I would still be very, very scared. So they definitely have a lot to think about. I don't know exactly, right? Maybe they're going to opt into some more brawl style because at least, right, we saw dive versus dive and it just did not go well. So I think they either have to adjust the play style or find some way to just pick two players on the other team, find a way to shut them down, and then try to deal with everything else as it comes to you.
Yeah, I will say, map pick now shifts into the favor of Ithaca. So, as you mentioned, maybe you could take us to a map where you're most likely going to be playing Brawl, whether maybe that's like an Atlas or possibly like a King's Row, maybe just something where you're not going to be susceptible to playing a ton of dive. But I mean, I feel like nowadays, especially in Overwatch 5v5, outside of like Gibraltar and Ilios, a lot of maps are pretty open books on different types of compositions you can play. So I think that's exciting.
Mhm.
So where does Ithaca decide to take us is going to be the question of the day, and what direction do the bands go in? Because to me, Winston's not really a target ban now that Diva is off the table, so I wouldn't have to be worried about doing that if I'm the side of Ithaca, for example. Um, so do you go like Tracer? Because Nee was going kind of crazy on the Tracer, was kind of hard diffing in the Tracer duel. Because I feel like most Sojourn players can play Emery. So it's like Sojourn Man might be a waste because we're just going to play Emery now. So
Yeah.
I would think about target banning the Tracer.
I think I would lead the same way. Yeah, the Sojourn and the Emery, it's the same skill set. The character just operates slightly differently. And honestly, if I'm Ithaca, I maybe would just go something like King's Row and maybe just try to force a brawl style game out. Of course, with just how many heroes now have verticality and have flight and mobility, I think that has made the game kind of just naturally shift to, well, we don't need to brawl you if we can just put 4 characters up in the air now that can deal a ton of damage in the span of 5 seconds. So I think maybe something like a King's Row would benefit them greatly, at least to see if the brawl doesn't work. Then maybe the series will be chalk, but at least they're going to find out, okay, dive didn't work. Let's try our best brawl comp. If that doesn't work, then maybe you can throw your hands up in the air and just try something random on map 3. But I think they should at least try all the styles first and see if something works because I got 3-0'd last time too, and we're on the same train tracks this time around.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's just going to be the big question of the day as we got word that a player from Ithaca is swapping PCs. So it may be a second before we have those map picks and bans coming in. But I mean, we can do a little quick recap for anyone who may have just joined the stream. Map number 1 was Ilios, picked by Ithaca. Diva and Emery, 2 big heroes in the meta right now, both were banned. We got a Winston mirror off and it was picked by Champlain. I'm sorry, not Ithaca.
Mhm.
But Champlain absolutely dominated in that Winston mirror. I mean, it was essentially 99-99, 99-0, 99-0. There was a couple of percentage points snuck away because of some mines thrown on point by the Wrecking Ball, but it was a domination from the side of Champlain.
And even just thinking about, I was thinking about more brawl picks and just things in general. I was watching some of the OWCS earlier, and there was a couple of Orisa mirror modes, and a few. I think Space Station Liquid went mirror mode Orisa on one or two different maps, and there was kind of a few rotations of heroes that maybe if they weren't necessarily meta, teams were like, listen, let's just try it for this situation. There's 7 different things that theoretically could work. So even watching some of the collegiate slash pro players obviously blended together, it was kind of fun to see them experimenting. But it was a heavy Zarya Diva as the bands. But of course, before we do get underway with Map 2 of the NECC playoffs, the Forge Trials by the NECC playoffs are presented by the Army National Guard. You can find your calling at nationalguard.com. They're going to be sponsoring the entire playoffs. Always good to help out with the broadcast, especially with some very, very worthy playoff contenders. And it looks like we are going to have a couple of subs in as well. Okay, I'm reading the whole roster. Average is going to sub in on tank. Onk is going to move to support. And Bionicle is going to sub out of that support spot. So, Ithaca, this is something at least. I don't mind it. Better now than later when you can't do it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with how dominant that map was. Try and shake things up, figure something out here to try and combat the force that Ithaca was. I mean, that Champlain was on that previous map. So I think, and like you mentioned, I'd rather do it now than you're down 2-0 and you're going into map 3 and you're trying something new on a map in desperation. That never goes well. So trying to make the adjustments as early as possible is always going to be the way to go. So still just waiting for that map to come in, but like the direction, it does worry me a little bit. I'm never a huge fan of role swapping around a lot, but in this case, like you got to make something happen. That was quite a map.
It's just one of those situations where you just don't really have a choice. You never want to be the team that has to go for the early swap, but at the same time, you have to just look inward and say, we're now down. We've lost the last 4 maps against this team. None of them have been particularly close. Maybe this is going to be even just a shot in the arm, some sort of inspiration. Maybe if it isn't their meta comp, but the other worry about bringing in a late sub, maybe you bring in like your ace Winston player on map 3, and then the other team happens to ban away the pick. So sometimes you can bring in that pocket pick that has a really good ace in the whole choice, and then maybe that pick gets banned away, and then now your entire game plan is kind of thrown out of the window. So it will be interesting for Ithaca. And again, the map is obviously going to depend. I think the player is still logging in, so another minute or 2 it would appear.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting. Again, I think the map and the bans are going to dictate a huge amount of what's going to happen here. And we do have the map, and yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Atlas, that's going to be a map where you're going to force the brawl a lot more. I've definitely seen teams force the Diva, force the Wrecking Ball on these maps before, but it is definitely a map that is known for, like your Ramacha, your Orisa kind of brawl right now, which ironically, Orisa definitely seen as the stronger brawl tank right now, which it's exciting. We were in Ramatra meta for such a long time. And now Orisa gets to peek her head back once again. But curious, again, I could say all this and then Orisa gets banned. So let's see where these bans are going to go first before I get ahead of myself.
Yeah, we could still see the Ramatra. There's, of course, going to be a plethora of different options. Ithaca, maybe we try something a little bit out of left field. The role swap definitely intrigues me because just not having the most info on the player, it's like, I don't know if Onk was necessarily just a dive player or if they were a brawl player and kind of out of their comfort zone, but they're, quote unquote, the starting tanks. So you're going to start with the map 1 and just live with the result that it's going to be Ilios. Because I think the higher seed got to pick first, but that was Champlain's pick, right? I'm not mistaken. I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It was Champlain's pick. Yeah.
I was trying to think. I couldn't remember. Yeah. So they chose Ilios, knowing that they would ban away the Diva, play the Winston, and probably have the edge. It is going to be Wu Yang, and they actually Champlain just taking away the Sojourn, some consistent damage. The Wu Yang ban, I know definitely can be good on Atlas, but a little out of left field given what we just saw.
That is so interesting. Emery gone first map, now you're going to ban Sojourn when it felt like you did pretty dang well in that Sojourn matchup. But to me, this also indicates we're going to get Emery's. Your hit scan will be an Emery. There's no reason to play any other. There's no reason to play Cass, no reason to play Ash. It should be Emery versus Emery. The Wu Yang one is the one I find extremely interesting. Not normally a hero that I first think of, Wu Yang's normally the one you go to if like your Kiri or Lucio are banned, or especially your Lucio. You'll go Wu Yang, but there's going to ban it off the rip, which to me is just like both teams are probably just going to play Kiri Lucio once again.
Yeah, Wu Yang kind of feels like, I don't want to say a second tier support, but it's usually like a secondary or like tertiary option, as you said, when the main 4 to 5 supports that kind of fit into all these metacoms to carry the Lucy and, of course, some of the other supports depending on what the lineup looks like. But especially them not playing the Wu Yang last map, of course, not really going to see it on Ilio. So they're either completely terrified of this pick, it has done emotional damage to them in the past, or they think that this pick is going to ruin whatever comp that they've got going on, or it's going to be able to sustain Champlain a little too much. They've had enough time to think things over, though. We're going into Atlas. We're going into a 0-1 deficit for the side of Ithaca. Of course, there's been some role swaps. There's been substitutions. And let's see if it all accounts to a win.
We see Ithaca at least highlighting right now that they're looking to go Czar Reaper. Really surprised they're not going to go with the Vendetta, which has definitely been the more potent version of this comp. You know that the Reaper is bad or anything. Just Vendetta's just been that good. But Czar Reaper is still going to be incredibly strong. Champlain are the interesting ones. I don't think they're actually going to roll out on this. I would love it if they did. But
Laurie would be wild.
yeah, they're going to go Zarya too, which makes things that much more interesting. And Princess Eden is going to go to the cast. I'm a little surprised here, but they will have me play the Vendetta, which I think is a stronger option over the weekend.
Yeah, and especially just Vendetta is just so good. If you're able to get that time and space that she desperately craves, if you're back, well, apologies for the curse. The Vendetta is actually the first one to die, and they barely get a lick of ultimate charge. So Ithaca, good job to find the first kill. The Reaper did get exchanged right away, so Champlain still found it back in blood. First point officially unlocked, and it looks like Ithaca, they're going to be the first ones on it. We'll see if the capture actually goes through. Well, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it feels like you kind of cursed him a little bit again there. As Ankh goes down, being able to get in and find another kill, and that's just going to be clean up duty. Champlain now going to take the first point and start getting some percentage going down. And again, that's the game you're playing when you're going up against the Vendetta. She just has so much damage output; it can just one-shot you so quickly with her combo. You have to be extremely careful.
Yeah, the damage and then just the mobility of trying to actually track this hero down in a fight. Then the Sundering Blade, we don't even need to talk about it. It can cut right through the sound barrier. It can demolish people. It can completely execute hard carries. Champlain looking to see if they can scoop up another kill. The Cassidy finding some supreme value. The Zarya 1v1 goes the way of Zools. And Ithaca, yet again, 2 players down. Suzu expended for Champlain. And yep, now it's our turn to run you down in the spawn, both of the supports. Lucio may be able to escape for now, but it may be a very late stagger. They will show mercy, but Champlain, they got all the space that they were looking for.
I'm curious if Champlain was expecting this Reaper Tracer with the Zarya, because given that the cast is actually a really good pick, the cast is very annoying to a Tracer. And with the Reaper, if you blow up the bubble, get a good flash on him, he cannot get out, and he will die. He will not be able to TP out. So when mentioned, I was thinking to see a lot of Emery. I think given the comp, because running the cast just works so well.
And honestly, the Emery, I think maybe if the Reaper Tracer doesn't necessarily find value, could see a swap, at least for the sake of you being able to play a little safer from a little bit farther away. I know Reaper obviously has amazing sustain and Tracer's mobility is insane, but I think Emery's just a little easier to play. You don't have to necessarily be in the face of the entire team, and especially a team like Champlain that has been phenomenal at targeting you out. That is the 3rd or 4th time the Reaper goes in head first, and they get scooped up and killed immediately. And that means Ithaca loses a few more players. We are going to see average TP down to 1 HP. The Zarya looking to survive on their last legs there. And now Dusk and Champlain looking for the rundown, but Princess Eden will sacrifice themselves. But Souls has a fully charged kit. Very angry. Lots of damage, and that's going to be Champlain getting the capture.
Again, they did have to use their Graviton there, so Ithaca will be able to come back and be able to use that here. But Champlain's a little bit further ahead on the beat charge, so they'll at least have that ready for the Graviton Surge that is coming online. But I think the late Blossom could go big.
Yeah, we are going to see the Surge get invested, but left is going to be the first one dead. Ithaca Blue, they popped the Graviton Surge, but it all went sideways. Avatari and Ankh, the only 2 left standing, and they're going to get cleaned up with efficiency. Double sub-ultis out of Champlain, no support ultimates out of Ithaca. But for Champlain, with how dominant you've been, a Deadeye and a Sundering Blade is probably all they think that they need.
I agree, but I think Ithaca did the smart thing. Once they were down 1, they didn't use any ultimates. They're going to have 3 coming into this fight. I will say the sound barrier is going to be the interesting one, because the Sundering Blade cuts through it, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and there it is. We're going to look for the immediate answer. Sound barrier, the Reaper able to Wraith form away to safety, so the Sundering Blade comes up empty, but at the same breath, the beat drop also doesn't really get that much value. Ithaca wasn't able to take too much space, although they finally will start to suffocate the point out a little bit. They will be able to capture it on the back of the late Kitsune Rush. The Death Blossom is still ready to go, but we've got a Deadeye from Princess Eden. The Cassidy getting bonked around the side a little bit, but all this means that this fight is getting completely split up, and Ithaca's losing players left, right, and center, but a late Death Blossom to try to save it, and just not enough. Champlain gonna be up 2-0 in the Flashpoint.
Yeah, I think Champlain is really good about knowing, hey, we can give up the point here if it gets us in a better position to re-engage on top of them and use our ultimates properly. And we saw that beautifully when the Kitsune Rush came out. They just completely readjusted. They got Princess Eden in a good spot to zone them out with a high noon while the rest of them were able to clean up. It's just beautifully played from them.
Yeah, and it can be a tough call to make, but on those like suffocating shoebox points, I would much rather be the team trying to play retake because we get to storm you in these two little doors. You don't really have a way to stop the push, so yeah, if we're up 99-0, let's give them 10 to 15% because we're gonna bring the hammer down 5 seconds later. It's a really good patient call out of Champlain. You can clearly tell they're very versatile, they're very high IQ team, and they are on their way to a 3-0 in the Flashpoint if things don't change soon. The Deadeye not going to be able to find home onto anybody. The bubbled up Vendetta might be able to get taken down here. That is a nice punish by the Zarya. But in the meantime, left will fall in the same breath. But average, this is some good Zarya work. The Ithaca frontline is finally getting the value they've been looking for, and they've got Champlain finally on the back foot.
Yeah, as they finally get a nice, clean team fight win, have control of the point, and now they can dictate how these fights want to go at their own pace. He's got to make sure they have a good job of scouting. They can use this Lucio speed boost to really good advantage. Champlain is coming up on quite a few ultimates coming in his next fight, so Ithaca needs to use the few they're coming up on extremely aggressively, in my opinion.
Oh, you just shut down the Cassidy nice and early. Then you get a little 5v4, and Champlain, that effectively just kills this team fight before it begins. They're going to decide to hang back for about 10 to 15 seconds, let that DPS regroup. And Ithaca, that's a really good pick. And if you can keep doing that every single time you get a kill like that, it's essentially 15 to 20% that you really don't have to stress over the game. So they can string together a few more kills. Things may be looking good. Kitsune, Gravity, and Beat sent in between both sides, but it's the opposing Kiriko that dies. No Kitsune Rush to the side of Ithaca. The Zarya's got nowhere to go from the Surge, and it is a team wipe for Champlain.
Yeah, once again, Champlain, expensive fight, both their support ultimates and their grab in exchange for just the grab from Ithaca. We saw this previously on the last point, feeling very deja vu. So Ithaca will come back with both their support ultimates and their Death Blossom going into a high noon Sundering Blade combo. Let's see if Ithaca has learned their lesson from that previous point.
This time it's going to be the Kitsune Rush instead of the Beat Drop since that thing is not quite online, but a TP into the backline Death Blossom. That is the exact angle that the Reaper has been looking for the entire map. Finally, Ithaca gets that clean back-to-back fight. Champlain burning the sub ultimates turns out to be the bane of their existence, and Ithaca showing a little bit of life here on Atlas.
Very massive, and they're able to hold on I mean, they didn't build them, but they weren't forced to have to use a high noon or a beat in that fight. They're just able to cleanly use the Blossom and the Kitsune Rush. I think the key was Arbitrary being able to get the Suzu out very early, because then the Death Blossom was just absolutely free.
Yeah, Arbitrary had a bit of a slow start, but this Reaper has been getting a lot of, I mean, realistically opening up many of the fights for Ithaca, so I'm very, very impressed, and it makes me happy to see a team maybe not have a lot of success early on. Yeah, a Sundering Blade will do that. It's going to ignore all that extra healing, all the bubble damage. Princess Eden able to win the cast 1v1, so Ithaca will be down a player. They don't want to expend the beat drop, I do imagine, especially with Avatari being as low as they are. Yep, it is Vendetta's time to shine, and he has been getting held down for a little bit too long. They're able to find the shutdown onto the tank, and Champlain, they're going to grab point C, and they're going to start to creep towards a map victory.
I will say, with the board state that we're in, Ithaca with this beat can look to aggressively just beat in and look to win a pretty quick fight. That's what I'd be looking to do, because Champlain does not have anything online right now. So this is their window of opportunity to be able to do this.
Yeah, and the thing with these ultis, the windows close very quickly, and perfect timing. They're able to shut down the Cassidy, and that was the closest ultimate that Champlain was going to have, so that's the most immediate threat now off of the table for the foreseeable future. And if Ithaca's able to get the capture or at least find a few more kills, they might be in beautiful position. And another nice job to find that second stagger onto Knee. They will be able to clear out the rest of Champlain, and they've got a fighting chance here.
Yeah, and they're looking to try and get some of these staggers. It's going to be absolutely massive. They got the Suzu out, but they're able to get out with those bubbles. Very well played from the side of Champlain to not feed any more ult charge into the side of Ithaca, who's now going to have quite powerful ultimates coming on, like getting close to all 5, honestly speaking, but the grab and double support's going to go huge.
Princess Eden will be the first one to drop the Deadeye, at least to zone off all of Ithaca, so they can attempt to take the point over, and they catch Left sleeping on the high ground, and then a flashbang to shut down Onk, who falls off the map. I think they got shut down mid-TP or something. Ultimately, the Cassidy smurfs the early engage, and Champlain has a massive advantage now. The Vendetta is able to get a nice little bit of sustain. The Zarya trying to pop as many bubbles as they can, but there's no safe haven from the Champlain side right now. Once they get that opening frag, they know exactly where to take their eyes, and they're able to recapture the point. Yet again, no sub-ults for Ithaca. Same thing for Champlain, though.
Yeah, this is actually going to be an extremely interesting fight here. Both teams have grabs and their DPS ultimates when it comes to the, High Noon or Blossom versus the Sundering Blade.
Oh, Sewell to scoop up a few with the Graviton Surge. They're at 95%. Ithaca's got to make their way onto the point ASAP or it's going to be over. And they were not able to make it back. The Surge zones them off and pulls them in long enough. And there's just not enough mobility in the server to make it back. Ithaca Blue, I'm impressed with how well they fought back considering what we saw the first 10 minutes of the series. But ultimately, the result is the same. They are still down 0-2.
Again, but the role swaps seem to have been doing them pretty well so far. Like I said, I'm always a little bit apprehensive, but they made their changes early. It seems like it's helped out. I mean, that could have easily been 2-2 heading into 0.5 if they're able to get the touch there. I mean, who knows what happens with the Sundering Blade, but you would at least given yourself an opportunity. But again, that was also just well played by Ithaca, knowing that if we can just go aggressive with this grab and not allow them to touch, we just win this map. So, very excited to see where this series goes. We are going to take this to a quick break and give Ithaca some time to figure out what they're going to do to try and reverse sweep in the series. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
Well, I know you know that like it's colder, colder when I'm older, older than I am. And I know you know that I have lost composure, but I'll hold you closer while I can. I never told you that I'm slightly broken, that I might lose focus when I am. I know you know that life gets colder, colder when you're frozen over like I am.
You'll still have common days. Put off your term papers till the last minute. Eat cold pizza right out of the fridge. Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Hello, everybody. We are back from the break, and we've got a not necessarily a close series. Ithaca is fighting back against Champlain, but they are still down 0-2. They obviously lost about a month and a half ago, 0-3 as well. It is the playoffs of Division 4. And Ithaca right now, they did make a couple swaps in between maps, and granted, they actually looked a lot better. Abattoirs played a very good game on the Reaper, but it's still 0-2.
Yeah, very excited to see with the break we had what changes, what game plans we are going to see coming out from the side of Ithaca to try and get back in the series, try and reverse sweep. As we mentioned, that last map was extremely close. As you can see on screen, the uncommon traits presented by Army Guard. Army National Guard. We need to see from Ithaca. We need them to play through Arbiter. Their great Reaper player looked extremely impressive in a lot of those situations on Atlas. Focus on positioning of players. I felt like that was the one thing that I kept seeing time and time again being punished from the side of Champlain. And because of that, you need to time and call your swings a lot quicker. That leads into being able to play more aggressive, but it starts with timing your swings quicker and getting that down a lot faster.
Yeah, and they actually had a few really good openers to a few fights. They got first blood a couple of times, but as you said, they weren't able to make that second or third snap decision to keep that fight actually going. Sometimes it's nice to get that first kill, but the extended fight is where things are really going to start to show up. And it feels like every single time Champlain just had to dig in and figure out a way to crack that Ithaca offense, they did find a way to shut it down. Outside of a few splash plays from Abattoirs on the Reaper, and Zarya did get them some value as well, but the Vendetta ultimately ended up just completely running them over. Nee and Princess Eden have been finding kills at key times, and Ithaca right now, I mean, a reverse sweep, I'll be honest, it sucks. I don't know if they're going to make any more changes. We haven't gotten word of any different subs, but right now, I mean, it's now or never. It's playoffs, you're down 0-2, there is no more time to mess up.
Yeah, is Champlain looking to hopefully make this a quick and easy 3-0? Don't want to give any kind of hope to the side of Ithaca Blue, to Ithaca. So the question is going to be, what map do you take us to? I mean, it did seem like they fared better in that Zarya brawl situation. So, excuse me, maybe you look to take us to a map that feels a little bit better, feels a little bit stronger on those. You know, maybe like a Colosseo, possibly. Like I said, more of a brawly hybrid like King's Row. But for the side of Champlain, if they want to make this a quick, easy 3-0, kind of talking about when you were talking about when they had their good plays from the side of Ithaca, I think we need to give Princess Eden a bit more support. The times that they did get the point and win some fights on them, I feel like Princess Eden was always the first pick that they were able to find out. They need to continue to play through Nee. Nee was going absolutely insane on that Vendetta in the last map, and just keep up the aggression. They've been extremely impressive. They just keep that going, and I think they can make this a quick, easy 3-0 and get back to studying.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is almost exam season, so I'm sure they're trying to wrap this one up quick, fast, in a hurry. And yeah, I can agree with that. And at least the good thing, if you are Princess Eden, you're sort of sacrificing yourself so that Nee can go have all the fun with the Zarya bubble. So you understand, like, hey, as long as I find a few kills, I would like to get a little more active, but at least my partner in crime is on one right now, and that Vendetta is doing more than enough for the both of us. Let me pop the overclock and find a few kills when I need to. We are going to be going over to Havana as well, so Ithaca, maybe they got something cooked up here. As far as we know, no subs, no swaps. It's going to be the same five that we saw in map 2. Obviously, it's going to be Ank on the support and a few other players getting shuffled around, and now we get to see the bans as well. It is going to be Champlain knocking off the Freya, a little bit of sky-high DPS, and then the Domina getting taken out for Ithaca.
And this is one of the maps where Domina can be seen quite a bit. It's like this map, Shambali. It tends to be like escort maps where poke style compositions are going to be a lot stronger. With Dominic gone, maybe we start to see like a Sig v Sig battle. Diva's still always a possibility on these maps. I think Orisa could still be strong. But given that it's poke long sightlines, you probably want a shield or a defense matrix of some sort. So would not be surprised if we see ourselves in like a Sig or Diva mirror, or like just each team playing those heroes. Those are kind of what I'm expecting here. The Freya, to me, with Freya gone, yeah, I kind of expected to see Emery from some teams and Ashe, because the long sightlines just support those two just a bit better. And seeing me on the Widow, very excited to see how that's going to go. Are they just looking for a couple picks, or are they going to stick it long term? Because this is one of those maps where you can stick it long term and it can find value.
Yeah, and we've only really been seeing NECC. I think they were on Tracer Vendetta, so the Widow is certainly a different playstyle. You're going from as close as you can to the enemy team to as far as possible away with that sniper. Okay, we are going to maybe see the... Okay, so Eden, at least if this stays, again, they still might be shuffling things around. The Hanzo, you talked about the long sight lines. That's a character that can absolutely punish an Ashe or a Sojourn if they don't have any of the coach gun or the slide. Okay, yeah, let's just run the Emery. It's busted. Let's just play it. Send it, Eden.
Here we go, baby. I'm very excited to see how this is going to go. Emery and Tracer with the Sigma battle. One interesting iteration is we have Champlain playing the Wu Yang versus Ithaca playing the Kiri. I think, at its core, the Kiri's probably better, so let's see how this Wu Yang's going to work out with the Ana.
Yeah, and we did actually see the Wu Yang get banned away by Ithaca last map, so maybe they got info on maybe when they played Champlain, maybe Wu Yang honestly just was a massive problem back in March. They went and watched the VOD or got info and said, hey, this was an issue. So, Misty Pyro will get to scoop it up. Souls does get CC'd, and Eden is the first one to fall in the fight. And then a nice answer with the Dynamite, so Ithaca Blue, couple big kills for themselves, and they win an early fight.
And the Ashe versus the Emery, so the Ashe just does a lot better with longer sightlines. That's kind of where she thrives and where her jam is. So in these situations, if you're not able to get onto that high ground and put pressure on her or unhinge her from out of that position, she is just going to continue to rain terror with these shots and with these Dynamite. You have to work on getting left out of there.
Yeah, and because you're playing something like the Sigma and the Ana, if the Tracer's not really able to go lock down the Ashe, if the Emery's not out-dueling her, which is very hard, as you're right, there's just not really a hero on this team that can easily punish that Ashe. So if she's able to actually position correctly, of course, as I say that, do get shut down by the Emery, losing a duel that I was talking about, but it's going to be Nano Graviton Flux, but it's going to be a big sleep on the average TV, so the Sigma taking a quick nap there, and then Eden able to find a few more shutdowns with the Emery. That's a 1 HP Kiriko. They're going to be able to TP back to safety, zoned away by a nade, and a good early opener by Ithaca Blue. Once again, counter punch, very, very thorough by Champlain.
Yeah, so Nano and Flux is off the table for the side of Ithaca. The one thing they have to be extremely careful of is Zul's going to have this Flux, so you have to worry about the C9 Flux capability. And then Eden and Princess Eden very close to this override protocol, which you just clear the point out and give it to them. They're just not even going to touch. I'm really surprised, but I kind of get it. Positioning on the second point can be extremely key.
I was going to say, it's okay if they decide to back up and let them have the point, as long as they win the subsequent fight, but it looks like they're already losing a few members. The Tracer is officially unleashed. All it took was NECC about 30 seconds to get warmed up, and it's a full house for the Champlain DPS. Abbott Terry, the only one left alive, they were already respawning. And another back-to-back fight win for Champlain. They did invest the Flux a little bit earlier, but other than that, they are still sitting in a very, very good spot.
Listen, I'm not here just to glaze, but the one thing that's been impressive about Champlain, at least through 3 maps, they showed we can play the dive, we can play the brawl, and we can play the poke. They have shown they're extremely versatile in what compositions they can play.
Well, I think they figured out how to punish the Ashe, because Left has not gotten a single kill since we gave them all the credit for the pick and how they were playing early. Now it is a DPS World Star performance out of Eden, and neither able to find a few shutdowns. The override protocol zoned off the entire Ithaca side, and Champlain is just marching along the tracks right here. Still 3 minutes and 15 seconds in the time bank. They're very close to getting that second checkpoint, and now it's going to be the title blast coming through from Misty Pyro, and they're able to shut down the Ashe yet again. Bob is not even able to be summoned, and Champlain has won the fight.
Wow, just in the blink of an eye. Again, they're just so crafty. They know when to use their key ultimates and to take, huge advantage of it. Even though a Kitsune Rush was thrown down on point, they're still able to just use the bubble, the tidal wave blast inside of Misty Pro, and just, ride the wave to victory, so to speak.
Yeah, and my goofy self wondering how they're going to kill the Ashe consistently. They've killed her 7 fights in a row, and she hasn't gotten a kill since, like, maybe the first time checkpoint. So they have figured out exactly how to deal with the Ashe. They've obviously done their homework, and they had the same thoughts that we had. If this is the pick, we've got to try to punish, focus on her first, and the rest of the team should fall shortly thereafter. And speaking of, Champlain are finally the ones falling as they teeter toward the end of the map. Ithaca, they were bound to win the fight eventually. They do find a few early picks, and they will be able to shut down the bridge for now.
This third point is where things get dicey for attacking teams. The third point is just so defensive-minded and advantage-wise. You know, just that high ground window that the Ashe can just poke on if you're left. You're going to throw in Bob just to continue the stall that they were playing. But, you know, you lose knee, and, I mean, yeah, your Tracer will be back quickly, but you can't afford to be too aggressive here now that you're down both your DPS.
Yeah, the Ithaca DPS, they're back in a big way, and you talked about it very well. This point, you're essentially running into the crow's nest, and when you've got Cassidy, Ashe, and Ana, I mean, these are 3 heroes that this is exactly where they want to be. They want to be up at a sniper tower. They want to be far away down the bridge. They want to be just hitting headshot after headshot. The Deadeye is going to be extremely valuable in this area. They're going to have to go all the way back to dodge it. Late Graviton Flux after an early pick. That's going to be a nice follow-up. It's going to force Tidal Blast and the Nano. Knee is the one nanoed right now, but they're not going to find any value from it. And now Ankh is going to nano up average TP as well. They're able to escape on 1 HP. So a lot of ultimates getting invested, but still no kills. The Pulse Bomb also goes wide.
And now Champlain can look to re-engage. They're going to get left, and they still have their Flux and their Override Protocol. Knee just has to live here. Play for your life. Oh, no, the sleep. Yeah, that's it for Knee.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be as a Tracer, but that's a great sleep by Ankh. That was a nice catch onto the Tracer. Essentially shuts down the Champlain push. They're getting pretty damn close, so they still got 2 minutes and 10 seconds as well. So this is far from over for Ithaca Blue. We are going to see a nice Suzu save average TV. And now the Override Protocol. Princess Eden going to take to the skies, able to shut down 1, catches a second at the Crow's Nest. Almost looking for that 3rd player as well. The Ana looking to dodge and weave between all these shots from the Emery. Eden will be able to disengage, and by disengage, I mean all the way disengage. Yep, me too. That is unfortunate. And now we're going to get Zul's getting nanoed up. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Ithaca Blue, they are popping the Kitsune, and they are still holding on.
Yeah, I mean, with you losing 2, 3 pretty early on, unfortunately, Eden going down pretty much sealed the deal on that fight. Extremely unfortunate, but I do think they also overstayed their welcome. I mean, I would not have taken that 2v1. So then they were forced out early. They forgot about, you know, hey, there's a bottomless pit below me, so I got to figure that out. And they pretty much threw away all of the ultimates they had. I mean, they're coming up on Tidal Wave Blast, but Ithaca's got this Nano, they got this Flux.
And they got Knee onto a Sojourn and instantly killed them in the sidewall. I guess they were just, yeah, talk about overextending and overstaying your welcome. I think that's exactly, I don't know, maybe he rolled off, or I don't necessarily know what Abitari did there. Luckily, all I know is Ithaca Blue has a nanoed Sigma with the Graviton Flux. They should be okay to hold down the second wave of pushes, able to scoop up a few players there, and shutting down Eden. That's going to be a big opening pick. Average is going to get CC'd out for a few seconds, but Ithaca still hanging in there. Bob is ready to go just about. Azul's getting CC'd again. Tidal Blast ready to go for Misty. Abitari looking to see if they can do any damage from the top side. The Tidal Blast will be invested, and the Tracer gets shut down again from the Sojourn back to the Tracer, but the result is the same. They shut down the Champlain DPS, and Ithaca Blue, they may have done enough to hold off. They've got Bob, and they've got the Kitsune Rush, so they've got enough to win a fight. And Knee swapping again.
Yeah, Arbitrary going over to the Cass, really like that swap, especially with Knee on the Tracer. He's now going to go over to the Thera, which to me is going to find mixed results. You're going into double hit scan, so you have to be extremely careful, especially when you have a shield like that just protecting your hit scans from your rockets.
Double hit scan with Sigma doesn't sound like a good time for the Pharah, but if Knee can get nanoed and maybe get active, we could possibly see a good play. But Ankh has been on point with the sleeps, and then the Graviton Flux is able to shut him down, though. They do find Knee out of the skies, and now that Average is able to cook up a few more kills, Ithaca Blue with Bob in the field and a Deadeye at the back pocket, I think they've done enough to shut down the offense.
Yeah, and again, this just highlights how hard it is to push this third point, but I do love the swaps Ithaca made. The Cass just made so much sense, and they are going to clean up and give themselves a win condition to try and force a map number 4. Going to be a long road, but it is in their sights. It's like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel to possibly keeping the series alive.
Yeah, the light bulb is blinking. There's at least a little bit of power left in the generator, and Average 12k damage, 16k mitigated. That is a solid performance from the Sigma, almost matched over there by Zulz. But yeah, I mean, it was just the Cassidy, you mentioned it. It was probably the key pick of the round. And even though we saw Left get caught out a couple times earlier in the round, they dialed in and they started playing a lot better. They used Bob to solid a few of those cart pushes. And Champlain, we talked about it, maybe just overstaying their welcome a little bit too much. And I mean, yeah, I think it was like the third last fight where both teams used every ulti. That's what happens when both teams get 3 kills and they think they're the ones that are going to win the fight. So they said, we have to use everything right now. We're the ones that are going to win. And then ultimately the defense does win, has the shorter spawns. So they're able to lock that one down. But for Ithaca, this is still not an easy map to win. So you got to work hard.
It's gonna be the big question to me is, has Ithaca found their win and their motion once they got to third point? Because those first 2 points were extremely dominant from Champlain, or is that just a really hard point to push and Champlain comes crazy on his defense and holds them? Because like I said, they got those first 2 points with relative ease. So I can't wait to see. My optimism tells me Ithaca has found their groove and found what they need to do to be able to win.
Yeah, I mean, all they've done since the end of map 2 and into map 3, they've just been playing better and better, winning more fights, isolating more targets, so they're on the right trajectory. It is annoying for them that they got off to the slow start that they did, because if this team showed up in map 1, we would have a very different series in my estimation, but what happened is what happened, and okay, Left, well, the Genji, unfortunately, not paying off in the early going. That's going to be a nice quick shutdown onto the DPS. Average getting chunked down in the mix as well. Able to back away to safety as both of the Sojourn getting that railgun ready, and Abateri from the Cassidy to another scan. And Abateri, I mean, yeah, played phenomenally on the Cass.
Yeah, I will say this Emery being able to hold his high ground and be able to free fire like this, that's going to be the ticket. Like, still, obviously the Ashe still does better with those long sight lines, but Emery's going to thrive being able to hold up there instead of having to be like on the low ground trying to fight their way up like they were on the attack. So just Eden already looking a lot better on this first point playing the Emery.
And with the way Havana is designed on defense, an Emery with an Amp Matrix is going to be a terrifying thing to have to run into later. I'm especially thinking if Ithaca can make it to the P3, which it looks like this P1, they are starting to steamroll. Disruption kill, a follow-up with the tank. That means Champlain, despite having a really, really good early set of fights, they do lose a few members. The capture will not be guaranteed yet, but Ithaca, they're on the right track.
Yeah, there will definitely be another fight ensuing before this point is captured, so we have to keep that in mind. But Ankh already has the Nano online, which could hopefully do wonders in just sealing this first point quickly. You don't want to get stalled here.
Yeah, we can go to the tried and true peanut butter and jelly Nano Blade if we get the timing of Left's ultimate ready, but instead, let's keep nanoing the tank. Average has done a lot of good work with it so far. The lamp does get forced out, and in the meantime, it's going to be Ithaca scooping up all of the kills, and I mean all of the kills. The Pulse Bomb does get invested, but it's not going to find anything, and that is 5 for 0, and Ithaca did not break a sweat or have a scratch on him.
Yeah, to me, what I've actually started to notice as this map has developed a lot better, I think Average has shown that they are the superior Sigma player. They're constantly winning the rock duel, getting the rocks onto Zulz while they're avoiding Zulz rocks, which is actually a huge deal, getting pressure on the Sigma and forcing them out early or even finding the kills.
And we'll see, and even with Average as well, with the Sigma barrier, I've seen Sigmas essentially just trick the Emery ulti where you keep popping the shield toward the sky and you can block shot after shot. It's a little tricky to do, but you can certainly hard counter the Emery with the Sigma if you're on your P's and Q's. The Genji, yep, we're going to be accepting our fate here. We got to get a full reset for the side of Ithaca. Luckily for them, 3.5 minutes. They have made very good headway in the early going of this round. The offense has certainly been showing a lot of life as ultimates begin to build up for both sides. Now back onto the Echo. And what you said is perfectly right. Average, even though Zulz looked a little more diverse in the tank pool earlier, they are the better Sigma.
In comes the Flux. That's going to be a lot of damage, but knee on the Echo, which I actually do like this really swap, plus the window. There's a lot of pressure. The side of Ithaca is going to have to look to back out here. And the reason why I do like the swap over to the Echo, Joven, is, you know, the amount of burst damage that the Echo has, but it's mostly the focusing beam. In these poke comps, it's pretty easy to get people to like half or even low, but it can be tough sometimes, you know, getting them all the way down because of shields, because of eats, because of a lot of movement cooldowns. So being able to have that focusing beam to make sure they go down is going to be crucial.
Yeah, you need a full-on fire hose. A water gun is not enough. You got to get some serious burst damage. Speaking of, Avatari's getting dropped off immediately. Dusk is going to get saved by the Immortality Field. Misty Pro pops the Tidal Blast, and it looks like besides the kill onto Knee, that is a red carpet in the feed for the side of Champlain. It was only Window and Tidal Blast. Everything else stays in the back pocket, and now that it's 2 or 3 big fight wins back-to-back, Ithaca's going to have to really start pressing the issue.
Yeah, they're able to do that with a 1-for-1 exchange. The Tidal Wave Blast for the Kitsune Rush. They'll take that exchange if you're the side of Champlain. Now let's see what they're going to do about this Blade and Overclock.
Override Protocol is going to be the first tool summoned into the fight. More of a zoning ultimate than anything. If Princess Eden wants to get aggressive, yep. There's the Sigma Annoyance I was referencing earlier. It is kind of the hard counter of the ulti, but Champlain, they were just essentially using that ulti to waste 30 seconds from Ithaca, and it worked out pretty good for them. As the Nano is ready to go, the Blade is also ready. It is going to be Nano Blade. Left's going to go for the Dragon Blade entry, fresh off of a Nano from Ankh, but a well-placed Rock is going to stun the Genji, but the Blade is still active. It is still getting resets, and that is a classic Overwatch play from Left.
I will say they have not been pushing the point the entire time. If someone needs to get on there and start moving this point, 1.5 minutes and counting, and that was Nano Blade invested, so big time ultimates. But I will say you got both the DPS ultimates out of the side of Champlain. So now you're in a position where you're in 2 fluxes and an overclock for the side of Ithaca. So they have the slight ult advantage. Need to see them take advantage of this. I need to see Arbitrary, as I mentioned, they need to play through him. He needs to come through big.
Well, it's time to lace up the kicks and see if we can find a kill with the overclock. So far, we're going over. Has the extra charge perk in there as well. Knee is able to be the first one to find the kill, and I think what you said is dead on perfect. The fact that Ithaca wasn't able to make any progress after essentially a 5-player wipe, because all that would have needed, if they're able to push the cart, I mean, even let's say 35% closer than it is, maybe 1 or 2 kills would have got them the time bonus, but now they're only about halfway there. The cart is still regressing, and you mentioned it. Nano Blade is not really that close to being online, and they have 30 seconds. That's bad.
They're going to have to get a lot out of this Flux and Kitsune Rush. You're walking into double support ultimates and a Flux. So someone's got to come through big and make a huge play.
I mean, yeah, Echo Emery Windows sounds like nightmare fuel for the offense to try to run into here, so Ithaca's going to have to be extremely careful how they navigate these remainder of the fights, especially, yeah, the Sigma window, and then the Ant Matrix, and Yana's going to be dead immediately. They sent it to Kitsune. Left is already down to 1 HP. The window will get sent in. Eden gets traded back. It's going to be a trade fest back and forth. A late Tidal Blast. Looking to keep the Wu Yang alive and see if they can find a kill potentially. Average is going to get CC down. The Flux is ready to go. They're going to CC Zools as well. But Dusk finds a shutdown onto the opposing Sojourn. The Flux will get invested. And Zools is going to lose the 1v1. But we're in overtime and Misty Pyro is still there and still fighting.
Yeah, and we got the duplicate onto the Sigma. Let's see what they can make happen. Can they get a Flux in time? It doesn't seem like it, but it's definitely possible. They're going to get forced out, but they still have the Echo.
And they were able to kill the Genji in the meantime, so Champlain's going to have the player advantage. And again, Ithaca's got no choice. They have to hug the card, otherwise it's going to be their season all over with. Champlain showing their might yet again, showing that first 3-0 was no fluke. They are the real deal, and they will topple Ithaca Blue. And granted, I give Ithaca credit. I really wish that Map 2 and Map 3 team was there the entire series. I think they looked so much better as the games went on.
I got to give huge shout outs to Knee, man. That swap over to the Echo on that second point, it looked like Ithaca Blue was just going to roll through those first 2 points just as easy as the side of Champlain did. But the Echo comes in, the sticky bombs, the burst damage, the focusing beam. It was everything they needed to be able to finish off those kills. Huge shout outs to them and huge shout outs to Champlain for getting the victory and moving on in the bracket to try and win a chip.
Yeah, that's going to be a danger soon. We talked about just Zools that playing so many different tanks, but they played a variety of styles across every single map there. We saw the Baptiste come in and get immense value in that final map, so they're clearly very comfortable on a plethora of play styles. That makes them a very high priority target later on in the playoffs. Ithaca, it's another 3-0. This one, you certainly gave them everything you had. We could clearly see the adjustments. We saw some players just step up in big ways, but Champlain, that just operation as a unit was way too efficient, way too clean. And as you said, they would find the right swaps at the right time and just put a stop to everything.
Yeah, huge shout outs to Ithaca on a very successful season. Unfortunate to go out here, but hold your heads up high. And for Champlain, good luck in your next round in the bracket. With that, we are going to take a quick break. Looking at the time, we have our next match in 53 minutes at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will have another matchup for you guys, so make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 57 or 53 minutes.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
Nothing cuts quite like a memory, especially one that you're trying to forget. But I can't find the energy to rewind and reset. I know you don't wanna be used, but you use me to build up. You build up to break me down. How does it feel? How does it feel to knock me around? I won't make a sound. I won't make a sound until I hit the ground. I won't make a sound. So don't shoot me down. Alright, we're not broken. We're just getting off the ground. Afraid of the Sometimes I lack the bravery, 'cause I know I fear the end. One day we'll see a victory. Carry on until the sun will set to break me down. How does it feel? How does it feel to knock me around? I won't make a sound. I won't make a sound until I hit the ground. I won't make a sound. So don't shoot me down. Alright, we're not broken. We're just getting off the ground. I hope you're better now.
Got wandering eyes that I seem to follow. Can only stay still for some time. I've never aligned with the city's pulse, so
And I can't stop thinking about you, but what you gonna do? And you know I'm feeling good like that, so what you gonna do? And I can't stop thinking about you, but what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
One, two, three, four.
Oh man, would you look at me? You're just another one hit wonder, that's what everyone sees. Ain't it funny how you wanna be the best, but you can't even get up and get dressed? Wasted, face it, you're never gonna make it. Rockstar, you won't get far. And I know you're confused. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974. I think I'm going insane. I'm feeling crazy. Can't get it out of my head. Oh no, if the devil inside takes hold, then I just might wind up dead. Wasted, face it, you're never gonna be the one. Rockstar, you won't get far, but at least you had fun. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, a king or a queen, as long as you got a dream. Oh no, it's a lie, they just wanna take your life, try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974.
just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. Hey, you don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me, you don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I'll save Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me, you don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I stand back and I watch you explore in perfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you. Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many drinks got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're gone, I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem
wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
You'll still have common days. Put off your term papers till the last minute. Eat cold pizza right out of the fridge. Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Hope everybody had a good extended break. We've got more Overwatch playoffs to be played. We're going to be stepping down to Division 6. This time, it's going to be another rematch from the regular season. Florida Southern College taking on Seton Hill Gold. And similar to the first series, the first matchup between these two teams was back on March 14th. I guess it was on Pi Day, but it was not close. It was Seton Hill with a 5-1 record on the season. 3-0 victory. Looked like it was relatively easy. Even like the game score, I think it was 2-0 in control. They basically swept the Flashpoint. So at least on paper, we have a clear favorite again, but it is playoffs. It's a best of 5 for everything, so anything still goes.
I will say though, I mean, I know like you mentioned like a month ago, this was a 3-0, but I will say, I mean, this Florida, this Seton Hill Gold. I mean, the Florida Southern College coming in, they 3-2 the number 1 seed of UF Club Green, so pulling off a huge upset. So I'm excited to see what direction this is going to go in because Florida Southern College seems to be on quite the tear of upsets right now.
And listen, you picked a very good time to go on that win streak or at least get hot at the end of the year. And that's a good thing with the playoffs. You could start off 0-4, go on a 4-game win streak and be the hottest team in all of Division 6 going into your first round matchup. And then, right, you might have like a 7 seed, but you're playing some of the best Overwatch out of the entire division. So you can kind of offset that. It is very good to hear that they at least recently, especially because sometimes you might beat the number 1 seed who ends up being world beaters like week 1 of the season in an entirely different meta 10 old heroes ago. And getting a victory that recently at least tells me they've probably got some kind of good read on the meta and they should at least be able to play some different styles of picks. But with Overwatch, it truly is styles making fights, and teams' compositions and their play styles are often what is going to cause the result of the series.
Yeah, that's going to make things interesting as we be pulling up that first map coming in this series, picked by Sentinel Hall. I believe they're the higher seed. So Lijiang, we had a quick little vacation on Ilios, but we're back to, our grand old house, our normal house that we live in every day, Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, this is the residential map 1 for many of the series, and with Lijiang being in the fold, definitely could see some Zarya gameplay. Of course, Vendetta is always an option. With the Zarya being there with the bubbles, the Vendetta plays very well into it.
No, you will
that
not.
that also makes sense, though, right? The Zarya is so good on Lijiang, so of course we're going to ban it away. Florida Southern saying, we want no part of that. We are going to see Seton Hill taking away the Genji as well, so there must be some level of comfort on the other side, because obviously the Vendetta's out there, and not that Genji's a bad pick now just because Vendetta's out, but Vendetta just gives you so much more flexibility on average.
I will say this is one of the few maps left, with the current meta where Ramatra is still played even at like the OWCS levels. So there's a good chance we could see that. I mean, obviously Orisa is still going to be a strong pick on the close quarter maps as well. So I feel like those are the two heroes generally I'd be expecting just off the gun coming in this. But as I say that, we'll see if these teams are actually going to load up on that, because both teams currently are right out the gun ripping out Mauga compositions with slightly different support lines, with the classic Kiryu Lucio coming out from Florida Southern College, with Sentinel Hill taking a little bit of a page out of like when Lucio's banned, you play Judo because speed ring. So that's going to make things very interesting if we see that coming out.
And also, I will say too, with Brawl being, I don't want to say more prevalent on maps than before, but with the Orisa kind of getting brought back into the fold, I mentioned seeing the Orisa mirror mode on OWCS earlier. The Mauga has been kind of slipping into some of these pots with the Ramatra not being as good now. The Mauga, not that it's gone super high in prio now and it's a super high value pick, but I have seen a couple teams the last 2 weeks at least starting to bring it back into the meta from when it was a Warlord when it came out, then it kind of fell out of favor, and now it's kind of back in a somewhat healthy spot. But Vendetta, that is an unhealthy hero if they go unchecked. Oh, there is the ram down. It is the Vendetta, though. Jess J has 3 kills already in the fight, and they are not done yet. That is a quadra kill for the Vendetta, and that is Seton Hill Gold running away with the first fight.
And that is Jess J showing us once again why Vendetta is a very good pick. It continues to see, despite many nerfs, still continues to see the light of day in these compositions. Just so much pressure. I mean, they dueled a Tracer, for crying out loud. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's always the gut check, is when the Vendetta is just continuously slicing and dicing through the backline. You go spin to win. That's a lot of damage onto both backline players. Literally, this Vendetta with the supports at their back, they are taking on the entire Florida Southern team, and they have nary a scratch to show for it. That was another dominant team fight win. Slowbro already has the cage online. We are going to see T-Buck swapping over to the Cassidy to maybe see if they can hinder the Vendetta a bit, but it is Seton Hill Gold with a big opening salvo.
Still going to have that cage, going to have that Sundering Blade. They're just much further ahead in a lot of these key ultimates. T-Bucks has gone over to Cats, which I think is going to help try and slow down the Vendetta, but that's a lot of damage from these slams.
Oh, Slowbro, luckily that Suzu came in, and with the cage, they're able to keep everybody pinned down, and that means the Vendetta gets to have a grand old time in the team fight. Slowbro and Jess J getting the full house between both of them, and Seton Hill Gold. The fact that they only had to use the cage to win that fight, and granted, they caught the entire enemy team in this tiny little room, and it's the perfect place for it. That is a big win in Florida Southern. They will have every ultimate, but they have to find a kill and win a fight.
They don't have that high noon yet either, so it's basically going to be a 4v4 here. I think what one key ultimate could be this photon barrier from from Titan.
Doesn't matter what they've got cooking, because the Vendetta and the tank, Slowbro and Jess J might have gotten the last 11 kills between both of them, and Seton Hill gold. I think that should be enough to stop. They might be able to get a back tap here with the Tracer, but ultimately, Florida Southern, if you can get the sound barrier online, they may have an outside chance here.
Yeah, this is going to force the recall already out of T-Bucks. Can Just J do more? They can. They get a pick under the Sojourn. Another cage, another orbital ray coming in from Seton Hall, and it is clean up duty. Seton Hall trying to show us why this was a 3-0 just a month ago.
That was a quick round of control, and for anybody that maybe has been living under a rock for the last month, that's what Vendetta can do if your tank and your supports are all on the same page. You just get unfiltered access to whoever you decide to be victimized. The Mauga got them so much value there. They had no way to even chunk the tank down. I mean, Florida Southern, they maybe got 4 or 5 kills that entire round, it felt like. I feel like I barely saw a moment where they got the opening pick or they found a good answer. The ultimates, they barely even got the ultis online. That's how rough that round was.
Yeah, I mean, they just played with so much aggression. That's how you have to play with these Mauga comps. You can't just sit there and take a bunch of poke. You eventually have to go in and make some plays. As we see Beretta also going over to the Fair, which I think is a very smart decision, given no hit scans on the side of Seton Hall at all. So I think the Fair could get extreme amounts of value, especially if they can play their space and find their windows to really start ringing in a bunch of rockets.
Yeah, Pharah and Echo, so they're going to go for the full sky-high DPS comp, which I think certainly plays well into what you were saying of, listen, they don't necessarily have a Cassidy or a Sojourn that's going to be able to bop us out of the air. If the Vendetta gets us and we either misplayed or the Vendetta is just too good and we're bound to lose the map anyway, so I like to see they're at least already going up for some early adjustments, some couple early swaps. Slowbro will get chunked down low, but the Mauga will be able to heal back to full as it is Seton Hill in control of the point yet again. And Florida Southern looking to see if they can find an answer. Just Jay maybe going in a little bit too deep there. That was the spin to lose, but luckily they're able to fall back, dodge the Echo Burst, and Seton Hill still digging in.
There's a lot of damage taken by Slowbro, though, with the focusing beam now at the Fate. Can they get the kill? Oh, they don't.
That was like 4 almost kills by Florida Southern in the span of 5 seconds. They will finally get the Symmetra to fall. And with that being done, no, never mind, Jesche, maybe something to answer, but we do get the replicate into the Mauga, the counter charge, to at least slow down the Florida Southern Mauga for a few seconds, but this is still a very dangerous player on the backline. The cage does get used, and the Echo is able to reposition the focusing beam. The Suzu is able to win it out, and Florida Southern, they played the perfect early fight, and look at the state of affairs. They didn't get anything for it.
I will say DatFat on this Kiri is going sicko mode right now, Jobin. They have been doing a great job of knowing that this Echo is trying to go after them with these sticky grenades, and every time he's making sure they hold Suzu for that precise moment and not allowing them to find this value. Already T-Bucks off the Echo, going over to the Cassidy now.
Yeah, when you start to see these 3rd and 4th swaps, it means that Florida Southern is trying to reach for something right now. They're trying to figure out if anything is possibly going to turn the tides of war. Johan, they're going to send in the cage right away, but they're the ones trapped in there with Seton Hill. They find a good answer. The Rocket Barrage is able to connect onto 3. That is exactly why you pick the Pharah in this spot. T-Bucks got the Nano as well. And for Florida Southern, you're happy you want to fight. For Seton Hill, you essentially said, we'll use a Kitsune. We're holding everything else.
Yeah, Beretta going over to the Sojourn now. So the only ultimate in the back pocket for the side of Florida Southern is going to be this Kitsune Rush. While Seton Hall is coming back in, they're going to have 4 ultimates of their own. And they've already found Titan for the side of Florida, so that's at least going to buy you a little bit more time.
Yeah, that's going to be another 15 to 20% that realistically will be given over for free. That's a nice pick onto the Cassidy, but Seton Hill, they're going to go for the speed boost with the Juno. Stampede has the orbital ray, but we don't even need to entry with that. We're going to shut down the auto for free. They CC Shikra out of the Kitsune Rush, and now the Mauga is just able to completely control the site. Every single player from Seton Hill is lockstep right now. Yep, that's a little bit unfortunate. Desperation Deadeye comes up empty. And now we're going to go for a Jetpack Cat Kiriko Rush to try to save the map.
Yeah, and it will get the touch just in time, but we'll get both supports on point, which I don't know if you like that, because both of them just get taken down so easily. Sundering Blade still coming in, but no touches available. Seton Hall able to take map number 1, and I'll say it, pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah, I certainly can understand where the 3-0 on March 14th came from. That was an excellent bit of brawl from Seton Hill. They controlled the space, they controlled the pace. they had Florida Southern scrambling from round 1 all the way until the final kill went through on the map to claim Lijiang for Seton Hill. And I mean, yeah, you could just see from round 1, their aggression it was unparalleled. When the Vendetta is opening the game, literally going in 2v5 with the Mauga and winning it back-to-back times, I was a little bit worried for Florida Southern, but yeah, that teamwork, the echo swaps, the swaps were nice. The Farah did find value at the end, but that was Seton Hill's game all day.
Yeah, very excited to see where this series goes from here. Obviously, Seton Hall took them to a map where they could brawl it out. It went very well. Again, with us, not following these teams week to week, it's hard to know, like, this team likes to play this, therefore this map wasn't good for them. So I'm curious to see, now that the map pick shifts back into Florida's favor, where they're going to look to take us. Do they feel like they're a little bit better at poke or dive? Like, do we see them take us to a map like that? Like, like a Blizzard World or a Gibraltar, where dive is going to be a lot more favorable? Because to me, if they take us to more of a brawl map, this may be a quick series if that's the case.
That Mauga Vendetta are lethal on the Seton Hill side, so I would be trying to avoid that at all costs. And yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. The one thing I do worry on a map like Lijiang or Ilios, and right, they might not be the best at that map. It might not be their preference, but we're talking Lijiang and Ilios. There's not going to be that many surprises. Maybe seeing the Mauga was a little bit of a surprise, but you answered with your own Mauga and you figured that out in round 1 and they didn't make a swap and you just got out executed. They obviously got out team fought. Maybe they're going to have to ban the Vendetta now, and that opens up the Embry. It opens up a whole bunch of other DPS that could potentially be brought into the fold later, right? You said we haven't even seen the dive out of Seton Hill. Maybe the Winston Diva is just as good, but at least looking at the brawl, if I'm Florida Southern, that is the last brawl game we are playing if we do anything about it.
Yeah, I think, again, time is going to tell. Hard to know what the teams. I mean, hey, Blizzard World, I called it. So maybe they do feel a little bit better in this dive. So more of like Diva, Winston, Hazard, possibly. I believe they get the first ban too. So maybe a protect ban on your tank. I mean, Vendetta going down, Ana going down as well. But with Diva comps, Kiri Lucio still what you expect to play. So I think this could be exactly what Florida was waiting for. No Vendetta, gets to go back to a more familiar dive map, play some Diva.
Yeah, let's run the Diva. If that is the forte, of course, right? Diva has been out forever, but not everybody is the greatest Diva player. Some are more akin to the brawl style. They're just better at getting in there and fist fighting their way out of trouble. Some players a little better with the finesse and the flying around to disturb the back line, but no. Beefy boys on the front line, at least in the early shakings. It's going to be Joanne on the Mauga still. And Slowbro is scooping up one of my absolute gems, the Reinhardt. And of course, they're going to actually, yeah, they're going to swap. Was it Stampede and Fatal? Yeah, they were on the Juno Kiri last time. So we're actually just going to swap the back lines. And we're going to bring in the Freya for Beretta.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that we're coming into Blizzard World and still going to play the Mauga. I mean, yeah, we actually have kind of seen this, at least in WCS Korea, from what I saw when I believe it was Zeta going up against Falcons and Crazy Raccoons. It was a battle of Maugas that ended up happening on this map. So, cool, but I still think there's better things to be played here. But the Ryan going into the Mauga, I mean, the Ryan can block a lot of that damage from the Mauga and not allow the ignites to happen, but once that shield's down, you are just a sitting duck.
Yeah, you are a pylon to be shot at. And speaking to the OWCS Korea, any Korean teams, truthfully, they can play whatever they want, close their eyes, and they will still be very, very effective. So they're going to be the ones to limit test, and we'll adopt what seems to be working over here in our region, as we are going to see a nice opening fight. Seton Hill going to draw first blood, but ZZ able to answer back and take down the tank of Seton Hill. That is a big pick to find. And it looks like they've done enough to at least back the offense off for the moment. We're going to have Jigger Joanne trying to jump all the way into the back line. Has enough sustain there. The supports are at the ready. So a nice early fight out of Florida Southern. You just stall the push out.
Yeah, and with getting Beretta down, this is the window of opportunity to push in. Down goes the Mauga, and man, despite losing your Reinhardt early, they're able to survive and just keep themselves up while waiting for their Ryan and able to take the first point. Very impressive, all things considered, from Seton Hall, because, I kind of looked at this, I'm like, this Ryan might be really rough going into the Mauga, but so far so good.
Yeah, Override Protocol, Pulse Bomb are already essentially at the helm. We are going to see T-Buck swapping from the Sojourn to the Tracer, so try to go for the mirror mode answer. But yeah, Just J Pulse Bomb, Titan already has the override protocol, especially in an area like this on Blizzard World. This override protocol, if the Embry can find the requisite space, there is a lot of places that you are going to get absolutely domed from, as we are going to see a recall out of T-Bucks, barely making it back to safety. It is going to be the opposing Tracer getting caught out. And now Seton Hill down to DPS, trying to navigate through the Freya's frontline damage. Slowbro is very low, so Florida Southern, they're going to win the fight, and they're going to push him back.
Still plenty of ultimates online for both these teams, and here comes the override protocol. Let's see what Titan's able to get accomplished.
Luckily enough healing to keep them alive in midair, but the Mauk is doing more than enough of a job to sustain that entire ultimate, and T-Bucks is going to win the Tracer 1v1 again, so Florida Southern, they've made a couple very nice adjustments. You get the Embry ulti out, you shut down the Tracer yet again before the Pulse Bomb, and now it's going to be that fat answered with the Kitsune, but the Lucio is the first one to fall. They're going to send a Shatter onto multiple players, and Slowbro was able to clean up the fight. Another Fire Strike, the 180 hammer swing to shut down ZZ, and then we blocked the Pulse Bomb as well. Luckily for Florida Southern, they were still able to find a bunch of kills after.
Yeah, they forced Suzu out though, so the Kiri's gonna go down. So there's still an opportunity for Just J to possibly keep this alive. Oh, they get T-Bucks. However, because of the short spawns, ZZ is too short, gets back just in time. So the players for Seton Hill have not been back soon enough. And Florida Southern's been sitting on 3 key ultimates, Jobin. I think they are prepped and ready to keep holding.
Oh, absolutely. Cage Orbital Ray, and you can set somebody up for a lifetime of success, as there are still 3.5 minutes before they need to get the next checkpoint for Seton Hill after that very fast early start. Johan, we're going to send in the cage. The answer is going to be the sound barrier from Stampede. Just J is dead again on the Tracer. They've had this Pulse Bomb for like 5 team fights, and they just can't find an angle to use it at all, and the Mauk is just squishing bugs left and right. And Florida Southern with a hell of a response.
Yeah, Cage comboed with the Orbital Ray. It is almost impossible to stop that combination, in a late stagger going on to Slowbro just makes things that much more difficult. Just J going to have the Pulse Bomb, but still, Florida Southern is in the driver's seat for a lot of these ults. Still have their Kitsune Rush. We'll get a Pulse Bomb. Beretta will probably be able to build a Bola as well. I think they are sitting pretty. They just need to continue to apply this pressure and cycle their ultimates properly, and I think they can get a second point hold here.
Stampede's going to go back onto the Juno, and yeah, for Just J, it's been a tale of 2 DPS. They were probably the MVP outside of maybe Slowbro on the game 1. They've had a few nasty 1v1s against T-Bucks, but other than that, they've been getting shut down first in the last 4 to 5 fights. Again, usually the Tracer is the one ultimate that you're able to spam every 30 seconds, but this Pulse Bomb is yet to find a target. And now the first one dead is going to be a Seton Hill backline member. The Pulse Bomb finally gets expended, and it's not able to find a kill. They do shut down the Mauga, however, so there is a chance for Seton Hill to run this fight the rest of the way through. But the ultimate from Beretta, able to shut down the Cassidy. Just J can't catch up to the Freya, and it is going to be Florida Southern winning another fight.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, they got extremely aggressive on that Tracer, and I didn't get to see just in time if they had a recall, but if they didn't, I don't know why they went so aggressive there. They're just bound to get picked. Slobo, however, does have the cage. This is the opportunity for Seton Hall to get this point across the finish line. They got both their cage and their Kitsune Rush at their fingertips. If they have to, they can throw in a High Noon as well. Florida Southern College doesn't have anything coming online anytime soon.
And Just J swapping to one of the somewhat freshly buffed picks in the NREN. It was kind of one of the forgotten picks when all the new heroes came out. It just wasn't Vendetta, and of course wasn't necessarily Domina's popularity, but it has gotten a couple buffs basically across the entire kit. I've been seeing it get played a little bit more. Obviously the Tracer was not working, so if there was ever a time to switch, it's with a minute left in your time, and that is a great answer. Oh my goodness, the cage goes down and Florida Southern gets rolled out in a heap.
What a nasty headshot onto T-Bucks from the side of Dat Fat. They are having as good of a performance on Kiri as you could have. T-Bucks now going to go over to the Cass. So we're in Cass Onron versus Cass Vendetta. I would have never thought I'd say that, seeing Onron be played like that, especially. And then double hit scan on the defense. This is an awesome game, man. I love this.
This is why Overwatch has, I feel like it's been in such an amazing state for the last few months. There is truly just, it's an endless ocean of opportunity. Teams are deciding, you know what, we don't really care what the meta is. What do we like? What's fun to play? What can we catch people lacking with? It has opened up the hero pool immensely as the ultimates are building up, and that is a big 1v1. A little bit of help from Stampede means that Titan is able to clear the rest of the fight. We saw the Embry getting mixed results, but the Cassidy is here to carry, and now the Onrod's able to fan the flames and use Slowbro to shut down the Juno. Titans got a Quadra, and Seton Hill. Where was this team 2 minutes ago?
Yeah, the on-run going with the Mauga, I mean, you know, in theory, you know, the fact that you can have constant burns and constant crits for the Mauga is actually insane. And on-run's got a lot of good abilities, and it was just see the amount of pressure they're able to apply, especially when they got all their cooldowns plus their ultimate.
Wow.
And everyone just presses Q on Seton Hall, and they're able to get the point delivered with 1:11 on the clock.
I just hope Florida Southern's not shell-shocked from that, because 2.5 minutes ago in real time, I'm not talking game time, they had Seton Hill with 40 seconds, not even close, like they were close to the checkpoint, but not that close. And then Seton Hill goes, I think 11 for 1 in kills in the last 2.5 fights. And the map, they just win the offense that quickly. You could just see how fast they pull the trigger when they're ready.
So now again, kind of talked about this in the past, but going down 0-2, especially in Overwatch 2, or I mean it's Overwatch now, but the new 5v5 format, to me can be quite the death sentence. Reverse sweeps just aren't common anymore. It's way less common than they used to be. So
Yes.
I feel like Florida Southern now has a lot of pressure placed on them, because not only do they have to finish, but they have to finish with time on the clock, because Seton Hall got over a minute on the clock. If they finish in overtime, only Seton will get a chance to attack.
And not that Florida Southern was losing sleep over it, but once you're down 0-2, there has to be at least one passing thought of, man, here we go again. This team just did this to us a month ago. We seemingly had a couple of decent reads there, but for all the good work Florida Southern did, right, you can just see how fast Seton Hill just snatched that round from him. It was go time. There was no looking back. Honestly, the Titan swap onto Cassidy was probably the linchpin that completely kicked off that round and put Seton Hill in the foot position, and now they got to do is lock in on defense. Florida Southern, 1:11 is the time bank for Seton Hill, and I mean, truthfully, as you said with the reverse sweeps, it's realistically now or never.
Also wasn't expecting Ramatra on the defense either, but it is working out beautifully. I mean, this is what Ramatra exactly wants. Like, get us in a small room, let me pop my Nemesis form and just punch all of you to death. Look at that, 60% in counting to annihilation. That is insane on the Ramatra that quickly.
The fact that, yeah, you can combine like 3 ult chargers from Florida Southern and it's essentially equaling the Ramatra after one fight, that is quite nice. And you talk about, yeah, the brawl comps, Mauga wants to fight. Nobody really wants to fist fight the Ramatra with an Annihilation and maybe a Juno and a Kiriko there to support. It is a terrible spot to be in, but take the Kiriko out of the equation, maybe life gets a little easier. Dat Fat's going to bite the bullet from the Freya. And Florida Southern, I would really like to see them hit the go button, but unfortunately, there's a Ramatra. Okay, didn't have time to get the Annihilation, maybe overstepping their bounds. Florida Southern, no tank for Seton Hill Gold. We have got to go now.
So to me, in that decision, once you lost your Curie, you either had to commit into the fight like they did or back out. So I'm not necessarily against what they did. I mean, they're going to give up the point, but they all should be able to get good positions on the second point to jumpstart and get things going. But you also do, I mean, 5 minutes on the second point defense for the side of Florida Southern, and they're going to have a bola shot at their disposal as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, even for Slowbro, I didn't even hate that play. If they got the Annihilation online, there is a very real world they can 1v3 that backline. So I was honestly holding out a little bit of hope for Seton Hill, but no need. The handgun from Titan, that sidearm swap, able to shut down the Mauga where they stand. And that means Florida Southern will be forced to at least go for a bit of a slower starting push here, as now the Ramatra looking to get a little bit active and shut down the airborne Freya. Beretta's been navigating the skies pretty well. T-Bucks will get chunked down low as Seton Hill looks to see if they can lock down the front line.
Plenty of ultimates coming online for both of these teams. Wouldn't surprise me here if Slowbo looks to get extremely aggressive with his Annihilation, and they're just going to pop 4, and now they're going to pop it.
I was going to say, I know they're thinking about it. They're just waiting for that absolute pristine time to hit the go button. Able to find a couple quick picks. The DPS will get dispatched. Beretta did ult at some point in the crossfire as well, and for Seton Hill Gold, The beauty of the Annihilation is that as long as the supports are using their regular healing abilities, that thing can just occupy 4 players' attention, and it can be a solo ulti that you just kind of send into Ramatra and play around it. You don't really need a second ulti to keep him alive, so really good cycling out of Seton Hill, and now that 4 minutes 45 seconds time bonus has been cut by 25%.
As though we're going to see Overclock and Kitsune Rush pop. We got to see results coming out of this fight, and so far so good.
Yeah, that instant Overclock kill on the Titan opened up the floodgates for Florida Southern. It's going to be a team kill before you can snap a finger. Orbital Ray and the on-run ulti are still sitting in the back pocket, but for Florida Southern, having the sound barrier amongst all the other damage ultis you just used is still going to be a very nice tool. At least keeps you alive on the cart so you can go for that second and third effort, but knowing Seton Hill and how fast they're able to execute some of these plays, Florida Southern has got to stay sharp.
It's a 3-for-1 ult exchange for the side of Seton Hill, though. So I think they're feeling pretty okay about that. Now Sound Barrier gets thrown in early as the Orbital Ray comes out in response.
Yeah, both supports looking to sustain the front line. Titan's going to be very low on HP, but they still find the kill, and Jess going to descend from the heavens and shut down the Lucio and the Malga. And very bad news, Florida Southern, Beretta's going to do what they can on top of the bot, but they will get shut down. And just like I was talking about, when Seton Hill has that ult advantage and they know they have you where they want you, there is no second guessing between any of these players. They know exactly what time it is, and they hit Florida Southern with a wallop.
In Seton Hill, being able to hold on to this override protocol is also a big deal. Florida Southern has 0 online to deal with it, so all they got to do is put Titan in a good position. They should be able to win this next fight and continue to drain time off of this clock.
Oh, T-Bucks, actually a few players from Florida Southern getting chunked low early, and this is the beauty of the Emery, especially on a map like Blizzard World. There's so much cover, and the verticality is really going to favor this long-range burst rifle as Slowbro and Titan are able to scoop up the final blows. They will be able to shut down the on-run, but I think that might be the only kill they get for the fight. The Frey is doing what they can, but Titan picking up where they left off on the Cassidy. The Emery is officially online. They saved the override protocol, and winning a fight while saving ultimates means that Seton Hill just bought themselves so much valuable time.
I said the massive part about that, not only saving the ultimate, but you're able to get your cage online so you can combo the two together where you get them stuck inside a cage. There's nothing they can do about that override protocol.
Yeah, you want to talk about wombo combos in Overwatch. That is going to be a top tier setup if they're able to get everything locked down. Instead, though, let's just send Titan to the skies, and we're going to try to shell everybody from above. Missing the second shot, able to connect the third one. Oh, they're in a very bad spot. That Mauga and that override protocol in a small space. That is a dangerous place to be, with the StarCraft sign shining in the back as Florida Southern back to the spawn.
I will say, though, they didn't even have to use the cage. I don't know if that was the greatest pathing from Florida Southern, knowing, that override protocol is coming online. You don't want to all group up in a small room like that where they can just throw in those burst shots. So, again, Florida Southern, they're going to have 4 of their ultimates. 40 seconds on the clock. They should be able to get the second point just with those alone.
Yeah, like you said, though, if they miss position again, that cage very well will be their undoing, but we're going to send Deadeye and the Freya ulti. They instantly shut down the Cassidy, and that means Slowbro's got a lot of space to cage everybody through. They're able to shut down the Lucio. The backline gets turned into atoms, and Titan, Slowbro, and Jess, the 3-headed monster, able to find the last couple of kills, and Florida Southern, that was everything except for the cage. Everything.
Yeah, but for the cage now, you're going to have Kitsune and Orbital Ray.
Yeah.
And if you're, you can either get aggressive with your on-run ult or use it to live. This is disastrous.
Yeah, they mispositioned. The Lucio's dead again, and it looks like Seton Hill made up for lost time. The on-run is popping off, fanning the flames of victory Seton Hill Gold's direction. It's a full team kill. Let's pop the emotes, little dance party for the squad, as they will continue their warpath against Florida Southern. 5 maps in a row going back to last month, and 1 map away from advancing in the playoffs.
Yeah, just very well played, all things considered across the board from Seton Hall. They had a little bit of a hiccup on second point. It took them much longer than it probably should have, but once they were able to break through that wall, third point came just as easy, and then they took that aggression and momentum and continued it through first and second point. So, so far so good. They're now up 2-0. So, they got to be feeling very good.
And right, for all the good work that Florida Southern did, it did just feel like sometimes Seton Hill went, how about we just had enough of this fighting thing and we're going to kill all of you in the span of 5 seconds and there's nothing you can do about it? And we saw the override protocol, right? They said, scatter, scatter, there's danger in the sky. The Emery swoops in the door. And yeah, the thing was, they were scared of the Emery. They didn't even consider that the Mauga could have caged them in that room either. They all just got taken out so quick, it wasn't even a thought for the side of Seton Hill. So definitely a few mistakes they could have cleaned up, but it does look like Seton Hill just playing so together as a team. And it is so hard to win when a team is just lockstep like that.
And with that, folks, we are going to take a quick break and give teams a chance to, make some swaps, come up with some game plans for Florida Southern. They need to reverse sweep. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Following the lights of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Follow the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. There's a place
Welcome back to the NECC playoffs. We have a fresh Division 6 matchup that is shaping up to be another 3-0 sweep. Florida Southern currently getting the beats put on them by the side of Seton Hill Gold. Blizzard World was a little competitive for a little while, but ultimately that overwhelming force that is Seton Hill Gold found the team fights that they needed. And again, they beat them 3-0 last month. They're up 2-0 now. They seemingly just have the edge in this matchup.
Yeah, I am extremely excited to see what has been cooking for the side of Florida Southern to try. I mean, as we mentioned, we took down the number 1 seed in the first round of the bracket. So, and it was in a 3-2. So, maybe a reverse sweep is possible for them. I am not counting them out. I can't wait to see what they did here. I mean, map pick could be very important. Bands extremely important. I mean, to be fair, we don't see a lot of Onron, and Seton Hall was making that work extremely well. So it could be that Seton Hall just feels pretty comfortable no matter who gets banned. But I don't know. Only time will tell.
Yeah, and they tried to find a few answers. Unfortunately, things just haven't worked out. Jesche had a very good performance on the on-run. We saw Titan really stepping up on the Cassidy. It goes back to the Emery after it wasn't working so well, and then helps completely 1v9 the game at the end. So it was everybody filling in the gaps that they needed. We saw even the Lucy Carey backline that Seton Hill was running. They said, you know what? Bring out the Juno again, kick the Lucio back into a locker. It worked out tremendously. Orbital Ray and Cage was unstoppable. And yeah, just the flexibility of the heroes we've seen so far. I'm very excited to see what these teams are thinking of for map 3, given what the map is, obviously.
Yeah. So again, still waiting on that map pick and the bans coming in from both of these teams, which makes things that much more exciting. Can really dictate the interesting matches. I mean, from the side of Seton Hall alone, we've seen so many different compositions. But for Florida Southern College trying to come back in the series, pull off a reverse sweep, to me, the first thing presented by Army Guard are uncommon traits. I think they need to be proactive with their ults. I feel like one of the reasons Blizzard World went the way it did, especially on second point, was Seton Hall would just get extremely aggressive with a single ult and win with just that one ult. We need to see that more out of Florida Southern. It really helps out the ult economy. They got to limit Just J, man. Whether it's the Vendetta, the On-Run, and on certain points, the Tracer, they have just been kind of going crazy in this lobby. And then to me, when they have gotten their DPS in really good positions, they've done a lot of work. The first and second point show for how long they held on second point, where you have a lot more control of the power positions you can take as a DPS. And then that first point. So if they can continue to get those players in good positions, I think that's going to be the key to getting their success going.
Yeah, and they were good at they found the first pick in a lot of fights. And even like we said, when they were on the defense, they had Seton Hill completely locked up at mid-map. And then there was 2 team fights that went 10-0, back-to-back aces that just literally lost them the map in essence. There was still obviously the end of the map to play out, but it really felt like the oxygen got sucked out of the building in that mid-map. So for Seton Hill Gold, I mean, the layman's thing to say is more of the same, but to be more specific, just, yeah, be more decisive on who to target first, that they know exactly what player is giving them an issue. Take out that DPS, take out that support. Just J, besides a few early struggles on the Tracer, they have been aces the entire series. And yeah, Florida Southern, if they can't handle you right now with the heroes that you've shown, if you've got any more, right, if there is a dive comp that they're hiding from us that they haven't had to use yet, if they've got a nasty diva player and it gets through the ban phase, Florida Southern has truthfully got to be ready for literally any pick.
Yeah, and to me, that first point, a lot of it was when they struggled on second point on Blizzard World, and it drained a lot of time. To me, it felt like they were just trying to go after the Mauga too much and shoot the tank. You need to get the pieces around the Mauga first, and then you can take him on a lot quicker. So just being a little bit more decisive on who they target depending on the composition. But I mean, they're playing really well. That was the other thing I was trying to say coming into this is Ramatra, Mauga, Onron, Tracer, Vendetta. We've seen so many interesting picks coming out of them. They've gone from Cass and Emery and just continue to make Southern Florida be on their toes. They have no idea what they have to ban. So that's just the key here as we see New Junk City is going to be our third and potential final map of the series.
Yeah, certainly going to favor into a more brawl style, at least on points. We could definitely see I was going to say the Queen is always an option. It is her home map, but Florida Southern going to say, you know what? We do not want to deal with the Queen on the home turf. Seton Hill's going to ban away the Kiriko. That's been a staple support for the Florida Southern side, so you can directly affect some of them, or at least just take the Suzu out of the game if you've got something that can hard CC a carrier, really lock someone down for an extended time. Certainly some common enough bans for New Junk City. Zarya will get locked in on one side, and it is Thanos D.Va on the other. Jess J gets to play the Vendetta again, and Seton Hill, one map and you're moving on.
Florida Southern, I got a bone to pick with you. How do you ban Junker Queen on her home map? How dare you? That's all I gotta say, but I digress. I do think Jaeger Johan on the Zarya into the D.Va. I will say recently, like throughout Overwatch, Zarya has always been a good counter to D.Va, right? Because D.Va can't eat that primary fire. It's been a little bit harder for the Zarya matchup just because D.Va's so good right now. But in a more close quarters map like this, where there's not a lot of high ground to avoid Zarya, where you have to more take these brawls, I feel like this is the better chance for the Zarya to have success against the D.Va.
And right, if there's any tank in the game that is currently just dominant in the meta in general, Zarya is going to be one of the better answers just because the pick itself is very, very active in the meta right now. We're going to anti the D.Va and get the instant D-Mex, so Seton Hill. Okay, Jess J is able to shut down the Ana, so there is still an outside chance if this D.Va can remech, and Slowbro already at about halfway to that percentage. They're able to back up the Stampede and get some healing. We did see the Sojourn find a kill, and it looks like Florida Southern, because Baby D.Va was in the fight, means they will get a capture.
Yeah, and that's going to be a remet coming in for Slobo being able to keep this fight alive. Players should be back, so now they can re-engage and look for a new fight. But they got to be very careful with the Zarya again. As I talked about, this is close quarters. The Zarya can get charged up so quickly in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, then they're going to have to worry about where the Vendetta is, of course, when the Sundering Blade comes online. That can be a very big table turner, but so far, so good. I mean, this is more progress than they've had for pretty well any of the other series so far. Oh, Jess J actually, yeah, taking out Titan there, and now Slowbro taking down. How does the Vendetta kill the Cassidy? Am I forgetting something?
I mean, it looked like they caught him off guard. They had no idea they were there and just got the combos going. Can they get
on
the
same
Zarya
team,
in
though?
time? The point is still in the favor of Florida Southern, and they're just continuing to find the picks and sending back to the spawn room for Seton Hall as we see Slowbro now going to go over to the Reinhardt. But yeah, I mean, Florida seems to have found their groove. I like the Zarya coming out, especially knowing that they're going to go against the D.Va. Let's see how this plays now into the Ryan composition.
Okay, I'm still scratching my head. Jess J killed Titan somehow. I don't know what ability or what interaction that was, but the Vendetta killed the same DPS on their own team. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's a new tech I didn't hear about, but there was somehow a team kill in this game, unless the kill feed was bugged for some reason. I don't know what happened. Strange.
Much stranger things have happened to you and I than what we've seen in this match, but I digress. Seton Hall trying to take good positioning on this run. The charge is going to go in. They're not able to find anyone to do the pull, but the Nano is on Jess J, and they find 3.
Survives the ante and finds 4 at the tail end of the fight. Titan was able to shut down the Lucio. And there's that Seton Hill fight that we've seen time after time after time. They did have to burn the Nano, and Florida Southern was able to keep all their ultimates. Slowbro now onto the Reinhardt, just saying, listen, we got to go for an early adjustment. They did hover the Reinhardt. I think they played the Reinhardt for maybe like 2 minutes earlier before the swap came in, so definitely something in Slowbro's bag, and we have been seeing a ton of brawl, of course, so got to be a very comforting style as well. Just saying the D.Va not really getting the value, and like you said, the Zarya just, they want to fight in the close quarters. That's where she wants to be. The Dragon Blade is where T-Bucks wants to get active with as well. They're going to shut down the Ana immediately, looking for another reset. They cannot find it, and Jess is able to shut down the opposing backline member, and this Vendetta is ruthless.
Yeah, I was going to say, despite a Nano Blade being committed and finding 2 picks, Jess J found all 5 kills.
Oh my
Flips
God.
the point back. That was ridiculous.
Like,
Listen,
I almost feel
nerf her
bad.
More.
That's why I feel bad for Florida Southern. They play good, and then Vendetta goes, LOL, what if I smash my head on the keyboard? And they all die immediately. Every time.
Well, I said that's the genius about banning the Kiri. Kiri can always TP out of, good dives from the Vendetta. The Ana cannot. Ana is a sitting duck and will just fall over to the Vendetta.
And then Just Jay, no regard for human life, they decide to run down even the mobile carries and say, yeah, I've got a very far distance throw with the sword. They're able to win the 1v1 against the Genji. I mean, that is essentially better Genji in many respects. But a big answer onto the Reinhardt. What? Well, yeah, it was an answer.
Not when Vendetta exists, my friend.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Just Jay is still alive. It looks like one of our uncommon traits is certainly living up to the name. Just Jay is given space to thrive, and Seton Hill is not looking back.
Now they're going to come to this next point as they've been slowly building up to a lot of these ults. 3 for Florida Southern, but because of those long, prolonged, really good team fight wins for Seton Hall, they're now going to have the ults to match. I mean, they'll have Sound Barrier for this incoming grab, and then they'll have Override Protocol and a Shatter to try and shake things up. So this should be a very interesting fight, but they will get the first cap on the point.
Yeah, and Florida Southern got beat so bad in the previous fight, they didn't even have a chance to pop the ultis. They're going to send a big ante, but the Sound Barrier is keeping everybody alive, and there is somebody taking to the skies, Titan on the Emery, but the Overclock is going to be able to diff them. That's why that hit scan DPS is so imperative against the Emery. We're going to see the Shatter connect onto a couple of players. The Zarya gets stunned and locked up. The Ana's going to fall as well, and even though Florida Southern sent a great first punch, Seton Hill answers back in a big way. Florida Southern did back tap though, so you know, a little something.
I mean, nicely played by both teams, all things considered. The back cap was actually key to stealing a lot of percentage. Like, imagine if all 23% of that went to Seton Hall. We'd be in final fight territory, essentially. Just Jay gonna have that Sundering Blade, and you can throw this nano onto whoever you please for the side of Dad Fats. So Florida's got nothing in the tank right now. They just gotta hope to force out these ults and, you know, maybe find some miracle picks.
Oh, speaking of miracle, Blade up into the window, Sundering Blade at the ready. Everybody is hiding away, and the Reinhardt is able to shut down the Ana yet again. Literally, it's like Seton Hill read the uncommon traits. They're isolating supports. They decided the Ana's not allowed to play the game. They're making sure Jesje has all the space in the world, and they are slapping Florida Southern these last few fights.
They did have to nano Slowbro to keep him up, but Just Jay once again just ran amok, basically wiped out the entire team. 2-1, all they need is one more sub map, and they are moving on into the next round of the bracket and winning this match 3-0. So Florida Southern got to win the next 2 sub points and the next 2 maps. Pressure is mounting. This is it for them.
Yeah, this is the last stand, the final battleground potentially of their season, of the series. They've got a nano in the back pocket and a blade. If they're able to make something happen with that, you can very well clean up a team fight. That is going to be a tried and true duo as long as time is around. Nano and then blade. We do lose the Zarya immediately, but the blade is able to find some supreme value. A massive shatter is able to shut the Genji down. That is the greatest feeling of all time as a Reinhardt player, when you completely take over the fight when it was looking doom and gloom. It's going to force the Orisa swap. They do sleep the Reinhardt, but it does not matter. Seton Hill's got the fight.
I actually really like the Orisa swap. Orisa plays very well into Reinhardt. You have that Fortify to stop the charges, Fortify to stop the shatter, and then just you can spam it as shield from afar as well and look to break that relatively quickly. The question is it too little too late?
Yeah, I was going to say the Javelin and the Spin could be very good for annoying the Vendetta too, and that's the worry. Is it going to be too late? Maybe you can find that big walloping Terra Surge, catch everybody in, and send them down with the Overclock or something, but it's going to be tough sledding the rest of the way, but not when you're able to shut down the Reinhardt that easily. Beretta ends up off the map. That is not good for Florida Southern. That might be a game-losing death right there, because Seton Hill is in full control of the point still, and there's still a Vendetta on my screen that is unstoppable.
This is where things get complicated. Right now, Florida Southern only has the beat. Beretta has to build up to this overclock and make things work. They have to be the hero here, Jobin, because Seton Hall's coming up on Override Protocol and Sundering Blade. So they got to get this on quickly and find some kills fast before these ults do their work for Seton Hill.
And they've got to get on the point and touch, so it's going to be an awkward fight as far as positioning goes. The Tracer is down, the Sound Barrier is initiated by both sides, but those Florida Southern health bars, they are merely an accessory. They are of no value. 2-piece with the blade from Jesje, and Seton Hill slicing down Florida Southern in 3-0 fashion with some very, very strong team fighting throughout the series.
Seton Hill showed us throughout these 3 maps the flexibility they had with a lot of different heroes. And for anyone who's watching in this, East Playoffs Division 6, keep the flexibility and just Jess J. If I was
Yeah.
writing notes, if I had to play this team, Jess J, all caps.
Vendetta, please ban as often as we can. Yeah, the Tracer, right? Just Shay, they had a bad 3 minutes on the Tracer. Besides that, it was Nuke City the entire series. And I hate that. I hate to always just call one player's name, but when Blizzard designs a character like that and they do things like that, it is very hard to not just say that is obviously one of the stronger picks in the game. Actively going in 1v5 with maybe Slowbro behind them, walking out smelling like roses fight after fight. Florida Southern put up a very, very good fight, especially in the Flashpoint. There were a lot of close fights, and honestly, who knows, if Beretta doesn't fall off the map, that fight looks very different. It would have been a 4v4. The Sojourn would have been alive. There was no tank on the Seton Hill side. And then you catch that in the kill feed, and it's all doomed.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations once again, Seton Hall moving on to the finals of the Division 6 East playoffs bracket. And for the side of Florida Southern, I mean, man, that upset in round one, beating the number one seed, huge highlight to the season. We kind of talked about previously in the series that even though this is kind of a disappointing way to end the season, that high from last round had to have been so good. Successful season, all things considered. Hold your heads up high.
Yeah, the destination matters, but the journey and the journey through the semester matters as well. And for Seton Hill, they are probably loving life. They're like, you guys took out the 1 seed, and we got to take care of y'all pretty easily. The road for us now is paved with gold the rest of the way. They're going to be feeling excellent about their chances later on in the playoffs. But of course, those were the 2 series for tonight. The playoffs are going to continue to rage on in the coming weeks as we lead up to nationals, land season finals, and everything in between. And of course, the NECC playoffs and the Forge trials are presented by the Army National Guard. You can answer the call of the uncommon and find your calling at nationalguard.com. They've been holding down the fort for the entire playoffs. Got to give them a big, big thank you, especially, right? So many worthy players of a big spotlight. Even, it feels sad to cast off these losing teams, but everybody is clearly like the quality of play from regular season to playoffs is just infinitely higher. Even with some of the lower divisions, quote unquote, everybody is completely dialed in, giving 110%. But Seton Hill, you're moving on and you got a chance for a chip still.
Yeah, so that's going to end things us on the broadcast for tonight. Huge shout outs to all our teams who played today. Y'all were amazing. Huge shout outs to everyone in the chat. Y'all are also amazing supporting your teams, cheering them on. Huge shout outs to Jobin for joining me behind the camera, behind the mic. And huge shout outs to Chippy and Orange behind the scenes for doing the prod and the observing. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for you guys. Next week is finals for all of our brackets. So make sure you guys tune in for all of our games, and you're not going to want to miss any of that as teams are looking to qualify for lands as well. So make sure you tune in, and we'll see you next week.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.